But Straight Talk Wireless runs on those same towers, so you get the same great networks for up to 50% less.
I wonder if they're counting that one in Kickapoo, Kansas.
Oh boy. Switch today and get our unlimited plan for just $45 a month with 25 gigs at high speeds and no contract. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise.
Savings may vary. See straighttalk.com.
Conference tournaments are tipping off. Bubble teams are making their final push. Top seeds are preparing for what they hope is a long run. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of the action. Bet $4 on an underdog. Win $256 if they win. It's that simple. That's bet $4 on an underdog in select college basketball games, and if they win, you collect $256. The bank is open. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 973 when you sign up to turn $4 into $256 if the underdog of your choosing pulls off the upset. That's code 973 for a limited time, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or New Jersey only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Businesses that run like clockwork establish routines they trust. That's why over 1 million companies rely on Cintas. We'll help you protect employees and customers with essential safety supplies, inspect your fire protection systems and devices, hygienically launder your uniforms, and keep you well-stocked with the leading hand sanitizers and disinfecting wipes. Learn how Cintas can help you open your doors with confidence.
Oh, I'm ready!
Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Hey guys, are you afraid of taking off your shirt in public? Don't be embarrassed. Just say, I love Lyle back instead with male breast reduction. Many men develop a fullness in their chest as boys that persists and even worsens as they get older. This condition is called gynecomastia, and with simple liposuction, most cases can be effectively treated. Call 856-MAKEOVER today to schedule your private consultation with Dr. Lyle and Back. That's 856-MAKEOVER, or visit ILoveLyleBack.com.
Switch to T-Mobile for Business and get up to 90 days of service free via virtual rebate on your business plan. You get a great deal, the largest 5G network, and first-class benefits like Microsoft 365 on us. It's better for business and only with T-Mobile for Business. Limited time offer. Stop in-store for details. Plus taxes and fees for some plans. Virtual Express MasterCard within 8 weeks of receipt of valid submission. Complete port within 60 days. See T-Mobile.com for 5G devices, coverage, and plan details.
As a dentist, I know what my patients are saying.
Mm-hmm.
She says her gums are irritated.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you can do? You can try New Crest Advanced Gum Restore. It detoxifies below the gum line to restore your gums back to health in just 7 days.
A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is 97.3 ESPN, home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
He is hit! He stumbles! He's down!
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Welcome on board. A Tuesday edition of the Sports Bash is live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And, of course, if you're watching the show live at 97.3ESPN.com. I'm your host, Mike Gill. Josh Jennings producing today's show. You out there. What's going on, everybody? So much going on. I'm very interested to see because, the Sixers haven't played for a couple of days. They'll play Thursday night, so they don't even play tomorrow. Still another day off after the All-Star break to get you back in the swing of things here. But the NBA betting odds are out. The Sixers have a precarious spot in the betting lineup. If you're a prop swapper, I think the Sixers are a pretty good bet right now if you're looking at certain areas because they are the number 3 team in the East, according to some of these betting sites. You got Brooklyn, who is now the favorite in the clubhouse in the NBA, not only just in the East, in the entire NBA. They are the best odds, so check them out. The Bucks have actually passed the Sixers over there. So we'll talk a little Sixers. Michael Kasky Blomain covers the Sixers for CBS Sports. He's got 5 trade targets for the Sixers, and we'll get his thoughts on the trade deadline coming up, which now it's starting to get here a little faster. You know, as we get to March Madness next week, a lot of basketball coming up. Don't get lost in the sauce that the trade deadline is on the way for the NBA and the Philadelphia 76ers. Speaking of the Nets, they made another signing today. Andre Drummond they signed. So now they've added Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond the last couple of days, which makes, a lot of people like the Nets now. Their starting lineup. They could roll out a starting lineup if they want to. I don't know if they choose to do this or not, but they have a team that could be Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, or Andre Drummond. I mean, those guys have all, I believe, appeared in an all-star game at one point. Pretty sure Drummond has. Pretty sure DeAndre Jordan has. I mean, neither of those guys are all-stars at this stage of their careers. Although Drummond, him and Embiid have had a couple of battles in the past together, Embiid typically has gotten the better of Andre Drummond, but, he's still they needed size. There's no question about it. The Nets needed some size. They could not go into a series with the Sixers and feel good about the possibility of walking into a series with just DeAndre Jordan. So DeAndre Jordan, who's having a big year, by the way, 17.5 points, 13.5 rebounds. Pretty big. So we will get into that. It is the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. And I do want to, by the way, I'm keeping my eye on Vince Velasquez pitching today for the Phillies, and I am not buying in. Sorry. He is the Jekyll and Hyde of all Jekyll and Hydes. 14 pitches in the first inning. He looked fantastic. 96-mile-per-hour fastball blowing guys away. And he comes out in the second inning through 20 balls, 19 strikes. He left in the second inning with the bases loaded, and he threw 25 pitches. The guy, the Phillies, I don't understand. They got smart people in that organization. They need to send a message to this guy that you're not getting the same opportunity as everybody else. You've been given too many opportunities. You're not getting the same opportunities as everybody else. You know what you're going to do? You're going to learn how to pitch in the bullpen. That's who you are. If you want to make this team, you're a bullpen guy. And I've said it. I don't have a problem with Velasquez in the bullpen. I'll give him a fair shot. I will give Velasquez a fair shot to pitch out of the bullpen. But I am done with Velasquez in the starting rotation. I can't take it anymore. I don't get hyped up about a whole heck of a lot. I'm a pretty even-keeled dude. But Vince Velasquez is a starter. Baseball is a sport that I love. Pitching is the thing of all sports, that I feel like I have the best grasp on. Velasquez stinks. He cannot be a starter. I don't understand how the Phillies can't see this. I get it. They're enamored with all of his tools. I would be too. But he's done. He cannot be a starting pitcher. I've realized that. I don't understand how the Phillies can't realize it. Would you stop starting him in these games, for God's sakes? Do the kid a favor and tell him, look, you're going to come in relief. Get used to it. Be prepared. And if 4 guys get hurt, you're not going back into the starting rotation. You're not going to be the guy who's the spot starter. You're not going to go back. You're not a starting pitcher anymore. Let's end this charade. Can we please? For the life of me, Vince Velasquez, get him out. Get him out. Done with him. Get him in the bullpen, please. And that takes us over to the Eagles. Interesting stuff today. I don't want to belabor the point here about Kyle Pitts and the popularity. He was trending on Twitter today. And one of the reasons is because Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network, who is one of their draft guys, very well-respected guy over there, he had some interesting things. He was on a conference call today talking about Kyle Pitts. And he was asked about what the Eagles should do at number 6. And, of course, his answer was, Kyle Pitts is a rare dude. Man, I'd take him. He follows it up by saying this. If you were going to pick the player most likely to have a Hall of Fame career in this draft class, Daniel Jeremiah says, quote, I think the overwhelming choice around the NFL would be Kyle Pitts. We're 50 days away from the NFL draft, which means a lot of things can happen. A lot of twists, a lot of turns. We had no combine. So you're not getting these guys that are going to be like fast risers, that ran the 40 really fast or did some shuttle run at some inordinate speed. So you're not getting that this year. So what you're getting is the guys slotted in the spots they were supposed to be at from the scouting eye, not being influenced by watching guys running Speedos, spandex shorts, if you will. That's a big factor here because you get those workout warriors. You get those guys who are much better on a practice field than they are a real field. You get those guys that can run straight line but can't stop on the dime and change directions. You get these guys that can change directions but can't do anything else. You get these guys that can jump really high but can't jump and catch at the same time. So the combine is both good and bad. It gives you a really good indication of certain things from guys. You get to be in front of a guy. You get to see them in person, and I think that is very valuable to be able to get a chance to watch the guy up close and personal as opposed to watching him on television or tape. But it also could be overly influential, and we see that a lot. So this year, you're going to get a draft class where you are getting to see basically the tape. That's it. Now, I think they're going to have some pro days and stuff like that you'll be able to get out there. But that's a lot different than being around peers and being in a whole situation where everybody is there together. You're up against the guy who's next to you. You're trying to all outdo each other in the same scenario, in the same setting. So I'm just telling you, we're 50 days out. The draft stuff's going to be a little different this year. Kyle Pitts of Florida is regarded as the top weapon in the class. And the consensus among analysts seems to be that he is one of the best prospects of all time. Not just one of the best tight ends in the class, one of the best prospects of all time. They're calling him the unicorn. The praise didn't stop there either. This is from The Athletic. Daniel Jeremiah is saying that of all the tight prospects in this draft class, if he could pick one guy, overwhelmingly, he would be the Hall of Famer in this draft class. The film breakdown on him is all you're getting. But if you got a chance to watch him on film, you would say, now I know why they're talking about this guy. Quote, a special talent making another special talent look ordinary is what it was described at when they watched him up against other first-round prospects. When he was up against other guys who were being drafted in the first round in this draft, Kyle Pitts absolutely dominated these guys. And I know that you're going to be like, wow, what's going on in these next couple of weeks? You're going to hear a lot about this kid. You really are. And remember where you started to hear about him first. But I'm interested from you guys out there. Are you buying into the buzz and the hype on this kid? Or are you still, for the people out there, are you still more inclined to go the safer route, the tight end? 609-403-0973. Robbie chiming in. Kyle Pitts is a safe pick. If we could trade up for another first rounder like Waddle or Smith, we would be golden. Well, that's not happening. What are you going to trade up? You're going to trade up and get what to number 2, 3, 4, 5? Do you go get one of these wide receivers? That's not happening. Pitts would be a guy. Look, the way these people are talking about Kyle Pitts, if you want him, you might have to stay at 6. It's getting more and more likely that if you want him, you better not trade back. Now, if you're okay, somebody brought this up on the show, I think yesterday. It had to be yesterday because today's only Tuesday. If you want Pitts, he brought up that if you drop back to 8, that he should be there. or him or Chase should be there. Reasoning was, if 4 quarterbacks go and Penei Sewell, that's 5 players. So that means 6, 7, 8 you would have your choice of the next guys: Chase, Waddle, Smith, Pitts. That you would be getting one of those 4 guys if you stayed at number 8. And I would be okay with getting one of those 4 guys staying at number 8. All right, B. Lizzle's watching on YouTube. DK Metcalf, the measurables, and a great combine. Do not make that mistake again. You take Pitts. He's a better version of George Kittle. Metcalf is an interesting guy. Let's talk about that real fast. If you remember, a lot of teams, not just the Eagles, passed on him. Why? Well, every team did. Yes, he went in the second round. So everybody passed on Metcalf, including the New England Patriots, who took who'd they take ahead of Metcalf? They took a receiver, N'Keal Harry, who stinks out loud. So even the Patriots made a mistake and did not draft this guy, Metcalf. But I'm glad B. Lizzle brought this up because, yes, he did have the measurables. He had the combine. But what he also had was a major injury red flag. Major injury red flag. That put him on people's draft boards as undraftable. Now, they were wrong, but he had some neck problems, if I remember correctly. I think he had neck problems, serious neck problems, to the point that some people thought, people are like, why did people pass on this Metcalf? How did you all miss this guy? He had major medical red flags. That's why. He had major medical red flags, like serious neck injuries to people thought he would not play in the NFL. Now, obviously, they were wrong. I mean, the guy's playing and he's a massive beast. But people act like Howie Roseman and the Eagles were the only organization who missed him. They didn't miss him. They were medically told, do not take this guy. And it wasn't just them. If you go back to the DK Metcalf draft, okay? You go to that DK Metcalf draft. Every team in the league passed on him once. However, how many teams in that draft class not only passed on him, but took a wide receiver instead of him? 8 teams. So I know we love to bang on Howie Roseman. It's an easy thing to do. But there were 8 teams that took wide receivers before somebody took DK Metcalf. So let's go over these teams real fast because they're pretty respected. Is it 8 teams that took a receiver ahead of him? Marquise Hollywood Brown. That's one. The Baltimore Ravens are a well-respected organization. We don't think their GM is an idiot. They decided to go with someone else over DK Metcalf. The New England Patriots are thought to be the model franchise, essentially, in the NFL. They had the 32nd pick and took N'Keal Harry. He stinks. They could have taken DK Metcalf. The 49ers took Deebo Samuel. Pretty good. I take DK Metcalf over him. And by the way, the 49ers are run by a football guy. John Lynch played football. He drafted Deebo Samuel. Next wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Tennessee Titans. Another solid organization, the Titans are. A.J. Brown, nice player. I'd take DK Metcalf. The Kansas City Chiefs took Mecole Hardman. Nice player, kind of a situational player. I'd take DK Metcalf, and the Chiefs won a Super Bowl. They're a very well-run organization. The Eagles took J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. That hasn't worked out. The Indianapolis Colts took Paris Campbell. He's had a lot of injury problems. The Arizona Cardinals took Andy Isabella at number 62. Now, I wouldn't say the Colts are the Cardinals are a model franchise. So I'm not going to sit here and say, wow, that Steve Keim really messed up. He messes up a lot. But at number 62 was Andy Isabella. And at number 64, the Seattle Seahawks took DK Metcalf. So there were 8 teams. And by the way, DK Metcalf was the last pick of the second round. So he got passed over by every team in the first round and then got passed over by every team again in the second round. So can we pump the brakes on how dumb the Eagles are for passing on DK Metcalf? I get it. It stings that you, of all the receivers I just read, you got the worst one. I mean, Paris Campbell, Andy Isabella, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, the 3 of those guys, I wouldn't say have all these accomplishments. They're all kind of nondescript so far. Metcalf, Hardman, Brown, Deebo Samuel, and Hollywood Brown, those guys have all been somewhat productive. But look, there's a lot of teams in the NFL that passed on DK Metcalf. A lot of teams. So, B. Lizzle, you bring up an interesting point, but a lot of teams made that mistake. All right, 609-403-0973 on the text board, 609-403-0973. Now, Dominic is checking in, says Pitts is injury prone. Did Pitts have injury problems? I know that I don't recall him being an injury-prone guy. I might be wrong. I don't. Now, this year, what happened to him this year? He says, pick a receiver like Chase that will be your go-to for the next 8 to 10 years. Why wouldn't Pitts be your go-to? I mean, I like Chase, so I'm not saying you're wrong, but what's to say that Pitts couldn't be your go-to player for the next 8 to 10 years because you're saying he's injury-prone? I'm not sure that he is injury-prone. I look, and Robbie checks in and says, how about a package like Ertz and another pick to be able to have 2 first-rounders? I know it's a dream. That's a pipe dream. If you listened to Football at 4 yesterday, Jeff Mosher said it right here. The Eagles will be lucky to get a 5th-round pick for Ertz, not a first-round pick. So that ain't happening. 8 teams in 2019, valid point. What's Roseman's excuse for Rieger in 2020? I don't really know the excuse for that. There's 2 sides to that story, and I don't know which side to believe. There's the one side that suggests that Roseman and the scouts wanted Jefferson and that the coaching staff wanted Rieger because they thought he fit the offense better. Do you believe that side of the story? If you don't like Roseman, you probably don't believe that side of the story. If you like Roseman, you probably say he wanted, if you don't like Roseman, you probably don't believe that story. But, I mean, from what I've heard was that the Roseman scouts liked Jefferson and that the coaching staff said they preferred Rieger. I don't know who to believe. I'm not in the room. Pitts had surgery on his nose. I wouldn't call that injury prone. Missed 2 games with a broken nose. I wouldn't call that injury prone. Danucci, come on. You're better than that. Now, I mean, if he has perpetual concussions, maybe. But it doesn't appear that that's the case. So I wouldn't call Pitts injury prone. Right now, okay, 50 days out, with the 6th pick, I'm taking Pitts. Chase, if I'm taking an offensive player, Pitts would be my first pick, Chase would be my second pick. They're my 2 right now. Smith would be my 3rd, Waddle would be my 4th. That would be the way, if I'm taking an offensive player, that I would rank them. How about you? 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. On the text board, Deebo Samuel's awesome. Don't hate. I didn't. I said he's a nice player. I like Deebo Samuel. I love how they use him there. I think the Eagles need to use Rieger more like they use Samuel. I don't think Samuel, he's not better than DK Metcalf. That's for sure. But keep in mind, 8 receivers were taken ahead of DK Metcalf. So it wasn't just Howie Roseman that missed. And by the way, I told you, they're pretty good organizations. Baltimore, New England, San Francisco, Indianapolis. I mean, these aren't like the Drecks of the NFL. These are pretty good organization that drafted guys ahead of DK Metcalf. So context is king, people. I know when context sometimes ruins your narrative, but I am here to bring it to you. I'm also here to bring you more Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And don't forget, you can watch the show. Now, Danuch, what I want you to do is on Facebook, I want you to share the live video of this show and implore everybody to watch it. That's what I'm asking you to. Everybody out there watching, share the show wherever you're watching the show. Don't forget, coming up, Frank's Mailbag for the Phillies, Jeff Nadeau for the Bets, MKB for the Sixers. Also, we'll talk more draft today. Football at 4, DiCecco, PT, John Clayton tonight at 5:25. I stand corrected. Yes, you do stand corrected there, Danuch. All right. It's going to be that kind of day. Sports Bash is live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app.
Turn it on. Leave it on. The Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Get the credit you deserve during Matt Blatt Kia's Miss March sales event with 0 down and 0% APR financing for 75 months. Get to Matt Blatt Kia in Toms River and Egg Harbor Township, because at Matt Blatt Kia, we want to get you approved today. And you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Plus, we want your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. So get out of that old car you hate. Come in today or visit us online and get the credit you deserve. Put 0 down and get 0% APR financing available for up to 75 months on every new 2021 Kia Sportage, or take $2,500 off MSRP, because
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
offers with approved Tier 1 or 2 credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. 0% based on $1,333 per 1,000 borrowed. All Kia Motors factory rebates to dealer. Go to MattBlattKiaNJ.com for complete details. Expires 4/5/2021. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Switch to T-Mobile for Business and get up to 90 days of service free via virtual rebate on your business plan. You get a great deal, the largest 5G network, and first-class benefits like Microsoft 365 on us. It's better for business, and only with T-Mobile for Business. Limited time offer. Stop in store for details. Plus taxes and fees for some plans. Virtual Express MasterCard within 8 weeks of receipt of valid submission. Complete port within 60 days. See T-Mobile.com for 5G devices, coverage, and plan details.
Hey guys, are you afraid of taking off your shirt in public? Don't be embarrassed. Just say, I love Lyle back instead with male breast reduction. Many men develop a fullness in their chest as boys that persists and even worsens as they get older. This condition is called gynecomastia, and with simple liposuction, most cases can be effectively treated. Call 856-MAKEOVER today to schedule your private consultation with Dr. Lyle and Back. That's 856-MAKEOVER, or visit ilovelyle.com.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
As a minimalist, paying less for insurance is more.
Nice place. Is your house a bubble?
It's a dome. I find corners unnecessary.
At Liberty Mutual, that's how we feel about overpaying for insurance.
But I do miss having shelves.
What would you put on them?
Nothing, obviously.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Want professional tax prep at a great value? Jackson Hewitt has an offer you won't want to miss. For a limited time, we'll prepare your federal taxes for as little as $48 and no more than $179. That's right. Get federal taxes done for you by skilled Jackson Hewitt tax pros in Walmart for as little as $48 and no more than $179. This offer won't last. Terms apply. Stop by Jackson Hewitt in Walmart and get your coupon code and details. That's Jackson Hewitt, conveniently located in Walmart.
Hey, bro, I don't think I can help you move Saturday. My back is really bugging me. I just don't think I can handle it. Sorry.
Hey, dude, it's John. I know I told you I'd be able to help you move. I think Michelle's really mad at me for something. What's that, honey? Oh, dude, I gotta go. Sorry, man.
Call Clark's Moving and Storage in South Jersey for your next local or long-distance move. Clark's, dependable and always shows up. Call 609-889-0780.
Those big wireless companies try to lure you in with a new phone just to lock you into a contract. Not Simple Mobile. If you have a great smartphone you love, you can get a powerful nationwide 5G network without the contract. Just text the word BYOP to 611611 to see if your phone's compatible. Simple Mobile. Out with the old, in with the simple. Message and data rates may apply. Visit simplemobile.com/privacy policy for privacy policy and the terms and conditions at simplemobile.com/terms and conditions. Compatible 5G capable device and SIM required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. 5G network not available in all areas. 5G upload speeds not yet available.
Today just got a little more exciting because you have the chance to win $155 million with Powerball. Talk about a way to really shake things up. So keep it interesting and take your shot because anything can happen in Jersey.
You can watch the Sports Bash live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Search 97.3 ESPN or visit our website, 97.3ESPN.com.
All right, we're live here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You can watch the show. The easiest way to do it is go to 97.3ESPN.com. Click on the link. That'll take you to the video of the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. Al's watching on Facebook. Mike contacts Gill. Yes, I hate to be the guy that actually has to even things out from like the ludicrous on one side who are like so staunchly married to their thought. And when I have to add context to it, it's like, oh, man, my thought wasn't as strong. Look, there's context is king, right? And there's context to everything. Murphy Brown continues every day. Said we're not taking a tight end at number 6. If they take Kyle Pitts, you're right. They would not have taken a tight end. He's not a tight end. I don't know how you can't keep figuring this out. But until you do, you're going to keep coming in here and you're going to get ticked off because he's not being described as a tight end. But you be you and keep being miserable. We'll be excited when you have the best weapon in the draft if they take him at number 6 because that's what you're getting. Daniel Jeremiah today, if you were going to pick the player most likely to have a Hall of Fame career in this draft class, quote, I think the overwhelming choice around the NFL would be Kyle Pitts. So let's all come to terms with this. At number 6, if he's there, he's in play. Not a tight end, an offensive weapon. As we talked about on Friday's edition of Football at 4, Adam Kaplan was on the show with us and essentially broke it down in that regard.
Let me explain to you what an NFL offense coordinator told me, and I put this on our show. The coach called him an OW, which is offensive weapon. He goes, he's not a tight end. He's an X receiver, which is a single side receiver. The guy typically doesn't move very much. Whereas the Z, which is really to me what Rager's position will be moving across the formation. If you put Pitts with Rager, with Fulgham, with Sanders, with Goddard, my God, the options in the pass game, show me a better team in terms of pass targets.
There you go. He's not a tight end. He's called him an OW, an offensive weapon. And that's how we've been hearing. That's what we've been describing him as. So the Eagles would not be taking a tight end at number 6. If you heard what Adam Kaplan told us on Friday's show, how they could line him up all over the field and basically play him outside the hash marks, inside the hash marks, play him at the X, play him at the Y, play him at the Z, play him at the tight end spot if they wanted to. But the tight end spot would be really reserved for Dallas Goedert. So you wouldn't really have Pitts running a lot of the general basic tight end stuff. You would have him running in a lot of basically the wide receiver stuff. You would just have this 6'6", 240-pound wide receiver out there that I don't know how anybody's defending that. Not to mention you throw up the fact that you have Goddard already on the team that can do a lot of other things. So look, context being king here, as we say, Al, the context of this for a couple of things. One, the DK Metcalf stuff we talked about. They passed on a physical freak one time. They ain't going to do it again. Right? You have a guy that's 6'6", 240 pounds, and is being described as the overwhelming choice in the NFL to be the Hall of Fame player in this class. You think if that guy's on the board and you have a choice of an offensive weapon, that you're going to pass on that offensive weapon to take a different offensive weapon? I don't think so. That's why I think that Pitts is probably, if it's between Pitts and Chase and the other receivers, that's why I think that he's probably the best possibility at that spot. If you take an offensive player, and if you read what we said yesterday about what Jeffrey Lurie said, prioritize making the team around Hurts better. That to me says, take the skill position player, right? And if you're telling me it's skill position player, and if you're the owner of the team and the scouts are saying, hey, there's one Hall of Famer in this class, and it's Kyle Pitts, and I need somebody to help my quarterback, what am I doing? I'm going to take the guy that, if I'm the owner, right, and I'm leaning on my personnel guys, I'm making sure that I don't pass on that guy again. I don't want to be the laughing, like everybody talks about how they pass on DK Metcalf, and I'm here to give you the context that a lot of teams passed on DK Metcalf, all 32 of them twice. He was the last pick of the second round. 8 teams took receivers before DK Metcalf got picked. Some of those teams are very well respected. So it wasn't just the Eagles who missed on DK Metcalf. But I'll tell you this. At number 6, if I'm taking an offensive skill player, it won't be the Eagles that pass on this guy. Now, I could be wrong. They might say, I like Chase better. But from everybody that I've talked to that studies this draft, almost every one of them is ranking Pitts ahead of the receivers. Almost every one of them. Javier's watching on Facebook. What's up, Javier? Says adding Pitts will complete what Jalen and the offense needs. By doing that, it will have the Eagles more options to also concentrate in improving the defense, especially the corners. Well, if you take Pitts in the first round, you have to almost exclusively, for my money, go defense in round 2. Your 2 picks in round 3. You don't have a pick in round 4. I think they have multiple fifths. I would go defense in 2, the 2 and 3, and I would almost try to trade back into the 4th with those 2 fifths. I might have 3 fifth-round picks. I got to check out what the Eagles' delineation of what they have is. But Javier, I think adding Pitts is, with the weapons in this draft, and again, I've said this before, the fact that you have Goddard makes me like the Pitts pick more. If I didn't have Goddard, I don't know that I like Pitts more than I like Chase. I like the fact that I already have a very athletic tight end on the roster already, and I think that having Pitts and Goddard would be a nightmare scenario for teams around the league. Maybe not right off the bat. I mean, you're going to come in and score 35 points a game? No. But you have this young quarterback that you now want to build with. What do I do with the young quarterback? I give him security blanket, Dallas Goedert. I give him explosive tight end who can do things down the field. And I hope that Jalen Reagor turns into the guy that we thought he was going to be when you drafted him. Now, you can make the argument that they made a mistake in drafting him. Not saying they didn't. Eagles have 2/3, 2/5. So they have a 1, a 2, 2 3s, 2 5s, a 6, and a 7. I would see, if I take a player at 6, it's an offensive player, I'm taking defense in 2, 3, 3, 5. And then 5, 6, and 7, do what you want. Pick another lineman, get yourself another receiver, but I'm making sure I go defense heavy in 2, 3, the 2 picks in the 3rd, the 2 picks in the 5th. Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. Alex, what are you getting for Ertz? Not much. Don't get excited. It's just the truth. What am I getting for Ertz? Not much. We talked about it yesterday with, look, he's 30 years old. He's coming off of an injury. That's what happens. Jeff Mosher was on yesterday with us, said this.
They're not getting a 3rd.
No,
I
agree.
They're not. So, I mean, maybe you can get a 4th conditional. That would be, I think, even nice too. But, I mean, if enough teams think that he's going to get cut, I can't imagine that teams are going to be scrambling to give up a whole lot for Zach Ertz.
There you go. Not going to get more than a 4th conditional for Zach Ertz. I think a 4th is what your best case scenario is. Sports Bash brought to you by Matt Blatt Nissan, the all-new Matt Blatt Nissan. open on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, next to Home Depot. Online, MattBlattNissan.com. Phillies report on the other side. Frank Klose's Phillies mailbag is on the way. A lot of interesting. I'm really interested in this Phillies team. I got to be honest. The bullpen has got me intrigued. Adding Herrera to this center field mix has been a huge storyline. He batted fourth and played right field today. I know that. We got the questions, the mailbag questions for Frank Klose, our Phillies insider. Coming up next here on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app, powered by First Bank of CIL. Watch the show live. Yep, live video on our website, 97.3ESPN.com.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
They scored!
The Flyers host the Buffalo Sabres tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, and listen live on the free mobile app.
On some models, excludes Corvette. With GMF financing, excludes prior sales. See dealer for details. If you've been waiting for the best deal you can find on a brand new Chevy, then your wait has paid off big time. Right now, during Bennett Chevy's March Markdown event, you can save up to 25% off many of our most popular models. That's right. With Bennett Chevy's famous GM supplier employee pricing, plus you keeping all the rebates, that's up to a whopping 25% off MSRP. Plus, for a limited time, there's 0% financing available on our hottest Chevy models. Got an old beater? Get it to Bennett for an unbeatable $7,000 minimum towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. That's at least $7,000. Imagine what we'll pay for a good trade. And our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So buying at Bennett's always a pleasure with no need to negotiate, plus there's never any sales pressure. Get to Bennett Chevy during our March Markdown event and find new roads. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Today, pros have to do whatever it takes. The Home Depot is here to make that easier. We've got the products you know and trust on our app, delivery options to get what you need exactly where you need it, and a delivery tracker that keeps you up to date on the status of your order, so you can keep doing what you do best, whatever it takes to get the job done. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
You heard that safe drivers get rewarded with Snapshot from Progressive, so you went online to check it out. But then you saw an ad for a vintage baseball cap, and now you find yourself checking the stats of that team's second baseman in '97, wondering why his stolen base total dropped after his rookie season. Wonder how much his rookie card is worth. Yes, they said it was easy to save money with Snapshot from Progressive, but they forgot about the rest of the internet. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California, North Carolina, or from all agents.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 5510 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 5510. Enjoy.
Mom, I'm hungry. Popcorn?
We should live stream this.
Already am. With this new plan from Walmart Family Mobile, I get 40 gigabytes of high-speed data for under $40 a month. It's a limited time deal. Oh, watch out, loose ball.
Whoa.
That's double the data with no contract or surprise fees. Yay, buzzer beater. All powered by T-Mobile's nationwide network. Makes me feel like I'm a step ahead. Available at Walmart. Double data ends July 31st, 2021. Hotspot does not double. See terms at myfamilymobile.com. Walmart Family Mobile.
It's crunchy.
Creamy.
Sweet.
Salty. Nature Valley sweet and salty peanut bars. Bursting with crunchy peanuts, dipped in creamy nut butter coating.
Delicious.
Nature Valley.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
.241 on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. If you're watching the show live on 97.3 ESPN.com, you'll see our Phillies insider Frank Klokse is here for the Phillies mailbag. As of course, the Phillies have a lot of interesting things going on in Clearwater. They're getting ready for the start of the 2021 season, and Frank Klokse has his Phillies mailbag every Tuesday right here on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN. What's going on, Frank?
Not much, Mike. How are you?
All is good, man. I know Phillies have – I'll tell you, I wasn't all that intrigued by this spring training. You figure every battle is pretty much locked in except for the bullpen, the two starters. But then this center field battle has really become how would you define what this center field battle is becoming?
Well, I still think that the Phillies intended to kind of go Roman Quinn and Adam Hazley. Given that they've spent a lot of their money and they've spent it in other areas, it just seems like those guys are good enough. I mean, we've seen the talent that Roman Quinn has had over the years when he stays healthy, and Scott Kingery is another option. He's kind of an extra guy because the Phillies got extra infield depth with Alec Boehm rising and Didi Gregorius coming back. So I don't think it was that big a deal that they'd have to worry about it so much. Certainly the introduction of Odubel Herrera into the mix sort of makes it a little bit interesting, but I think provided that Adam Hazley is healthy, kind of the plan will still be Adam Hazley and Roman Quinn in center field.
Now, if Hazley's not ready to start the season, does that, in your opinion, make Herrera a better candidate for the opening day roster?
I think Herrera's situation will not be related to Hazley's situation, because I think if Adam Hazley is going to be out just a little bit, like it sounds like he's going to be, like it'll only be a minor setback, or if he misses the beginning of the season, it won't be for long, then you don't want to cut somebody from your 40-man roster to make room for Odubel Herrera for him not to have a spot in a week. Like, I still think that Odubel Herrera is going to have to be one of those slam dunk, dominated the entire Grapefruit League kind of situations for him to make the team, because you got to cut somebody in order to make room for Herrera. So if it's not going to serve your long-term needs, Herrera's just got 1 year left on his deal. I don't see why you cut a prospect.
Are you surprised that, I mean, it almost feels like they're trying to give him every opportunity to make it. And Girardi said the other day, look, he's already been penalized. We're not going to penalize him anymore. If he's here, he's in play. So it sounds to me as if, and it looks to me anyway, that they're giving him a chance to make this team. I mean, he's playing almost every day. They're giving him at bats. They're trying him in different, positions to see if he can play left, see if he can play right. That's what I find to be the most interesting thing here.
See, I tend to think that he's just kind of filling the gaps when Bryce Harper's not playing, and he got one start in center field. If he's going to make this team, he's got to be a center fielder, right? Because you have Andrew McCutchen in left, although he's probably not going to play every day. Herrera just doesn't have the arm for a corner. So I just see him as having to be the center fielder if this is going to work. And certainly he's definitely not going to start in right field, right? So I just don't see a path for him, really. I mean, he's going to have to really make the Phillies have to give up on Roman, or Roman Quinn will have to get injured again. And in addition to Adam Hazley having a further setback, I still don't see the path. I think he's kind of filling the gaps right now, and I think it's more likely he's playing for somebody else. Or playing for the opportunity for somebody else, maybe not making the roster, and then maybe talking about having a release situation with his agent.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. I predict, Frank, and I don't know if we'll agree on this, I think he'll be in the lineup opening day, because the Braves will have a right-handed pitcher, and he is a left-handed bat, and Hazley will not be ready. I think he will be the left-handed bat in center field on opening day. Unless
we'll see.
Unless your Phillies mailbag question, what are the odds of Mickey Moniak being that left-handed bat that starts on opening day?
I think that that really plays into the Herrera situation as well, right? If you're looking to temporarily replace one spot on the roster, then Mickey Moniak might be it. The Phillies have kind of alluded in terms of Moniak that They probably want to see him play every day in the minor leagues. But guess what? It looks like there's not going to be a minor leagues in April, right? So if you're the Phillies and you're confronted with, okay, well, we need to fill Adam Hazley's spot for maybe a week, maybe two, and your options are cutting a prospect so that you can bring Herrera back onto the 40-man roster, or just using somebody that's already there, Mickey Moniak, who has also hit very well, by the way, this spring. I think that Moniak is going to be the one that would fill in for Adam Hazley. He's hitting 500 in the very, very early going. In fact, I'm just checking today's stats. Yeah, he hasn't made an appearance today, so he's 500. He's got 2 home runs, limited action, of course, but when you look at Mickey Moniak, I think you're seeing somebody kind of filling out finally, right? They drafted this skinny little kid out of high school, and even though it feels like that was forever ago, back in 2016, he's needed time to really grow into his body. I mean, he was just a kid when the Phillies drafted him, right? So
I guess the frustrating part, and look, I've been tough on him, but he has been. The frustrating part is there are other younger players who have been drafted number 1 overall in past drafts that have come in and made impacts, and then you see your guy, and it's like, why is our guy not measuring up to these other guys?
Right, exactly. I just think it was an unfortunate situation where the year the Phillies had the first overall pick, it was not a year that there were any drop. For example, Bryce Harper, right? When the draft was coming, he was going number 1, right? There was no doubt about it type prospect that you knew was just going to come to the major leagues and wreak havoc. And so the Phillies went Moniak, that, realizing that they're going to have to develop him. So he's only 22 right now, right? So even though he was drafted in 2016, he doesn't turn 23 until during the season. So he still has some time. So I think the plan still is to let him play every day in the minor leagues. But if it's a situation where you just need a couple of weeks while Adam Hazley is recovering, I can see that being where Mickey Moniak gets onto this roster.
All right, Frank Klose's Phillies mailbag. So Moniak is in the mix. What are your thoughts on Spencer Howard and what role he might have this year? This one's interesting.
Yeah, so this is brought in. This question actually came from citizen Hunter Brody, which is a great question, though, right?
Rhodes asked the question. Is that
yeah, I know, but I know. How about that?
I saw Hunter ask the question. If it was Rhodes, I would have got it.
But it's a really, really good question. The Phillies brought him into 1 game so far. He pitched 1 inning. And it was in relief. He came in and he was absolutely dominant against the Pirates. 1 inning, 2 strikeouts. He just blew through the Pirates, right? So it really kind of begs the question. This is for the first time in years, a year that the Phillies have some actual depth on their roster in terms of starting pitching. So adding Matt Moore, adding Chase Anderson, these guys very well could line up to be 4 and 5 behind Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, and Zach Eflin. And so if that's the case, you have some depth here. So kind of brings me to the next point, which is, do you need to watch the innings of someone like Spencer Howard this year? They did so in 2019. Last year, unfortunately, because there was no minor leagues, he ended up joining the Phillies late, and then he got hurt, right? So it could be that you want to protect his health a little bit. Could be you want to protect his innings count. So what you might do is what the St. Louis Cardinals did for years with the likes of Adam Wainwright and then Lance Lynn, who were some of their up-and-coming pitchers over the years, started them in the bullpen. Kind of reduces the wear and tear on the arm. In fact, Adam Wainwright was very successful in the bullpen for the Cardinals before joining the starting rotation the following year. They got some good innings out of Lance Lynn that same way. And so that's a way of kind of holding him back a little bit so that later in the season, when you need some depth, he's already right there in the major leagues and perhaps a little bit more acclimated and has had the opportunity to work on some more things. But, if he can pitch like he did in that one inning appearance out of the bullpen, I mean, that's something that every team could use, right? Some firepower in the bullpen. And he probably doesn't start out on the back end of the bullpen. He might be towards the middle and works his way back if he has some success. But, the opening day rotation is not usually the one that's the rotation at the end of the year. And that's true for any team. So, you're going to need some help down the line. Vince Velasquez is still around doing whatever he's going to do. And so probably in the bullpen, he's kind of your spot starter at first. So you have the opportunity to kind of go easy on Spencer Howard early on. And the bullpen might be a way you do that.
Yeah. And that one is going to be interesting because there's a lot of crowded arms in that bullpen too. I mean, I'd like to hear how you're breaking down this bullpen because there are a lot of guys in that pen. I'm not saying it's going to be the best bullpen in baseball, but it should be significantly better than the bullpen they had last year. There's a lot of competition. So I guess the question, like, if you're Velasquez and you lose out the 4th or 5th spot, if you're Howard or you lose in the 4th or 5th spot, you're Chase Anderson, you lose the 4th or 5th spot, is there room in that bullpen for you?
Yeah, if I'm the Phillies, I try to trade Velasquez, actually. I just they never really committed to him being a reliever at any time, and you don't know what you have. I think they like hanging on to him because he could start kind of, and I guess, give you his 4 2/3 inning special that he's known for. But behind him, you still have room for 7 other guys. I think what might happen is some of the older guys that can't be optioned to the minor leagues might keep some of the younger guys in the minor leagues to start, like the JoJo Romeros and the Connor Brogdons. I think that's a possibility. We still don't know yet what Ranger Suarez is going to be like this season. Has he recovered from COVID that really knocked him out last year? Is he going to be the same kind of arm he was in the bullpen a few years ago? So it's definitely crowded. I think you definitely want to make sure you have some of your non-roster invites veterans on this team. I think Tony Watson and Brandon Kinsler need to be on this team because you need that veteran presence. And then of course, Archie Bradley is going to be a permanent presence in that bullpen. And Hector Neris is still around, and they have depth, right? This is something that's really important. And I think what you do if you're the Phillies, like you've done with Spencer Howard here, is you try to give yourself as many options as possible. And that might mean Romero, who might not deserve it, starts the year at AAA. It might mean that, or at the alternate site, which it seems to be what's kind of brewing, at least for the beginning. Maybe you stick Connor Brogdon there as well. And then when you need the reinforcements, you actually have some, because the last couple of years, when things go bad, they saw that endless cycle of the quadruple A type players coming back and forth, and that solved nothing.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by how they do what they do with this bullpen. So real quick, we got about a minute or so here. You got Neris and Bradley. Do you think Kinsler and Watson both make it?
I do.
So that's 2 non-roster guys. That would be 4. Alvarado?
Maybe, probably, but probably.
Okay, that's 5. I like Brogdon. Do you think he's a lock?
No, I think because he has a minor league option, he could start the year in the minors.
All right, so we got 5 there. So you're really up with Coonrod. I guess he would be in the mix. Do you think he's and Hale? Do you think those guys are definite?
I think Hale's going to make it. I don't, unless they trade him or something. I don't see them cutting him. In other words, so he's the kind of guy that you would need to cut. So I think he's in.
Then you got JoJo Romero, Ranger Suarez.
I like Suarez, but you got to see what you have. I mean, see, that's part of the problem. You can't count on him right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things. That's why the Velasquez, he's pitching today, did not pitch well. Actually, he was very Velasquez. He pitched well for 1 inning, lousy the 2nd inning. And real quick, the last question from Matt: why are not all the games on television?
It's kind of on the home teams to broadcast the games. The Phillies are broadcasting all but 2. And usually it's because there was a conflict with NBC Sports Philadelphia. Like the one night game, there's a Flyers and Sixers game that night. So the Phillies aren't going to be broadcast that night. But, a lot of the other teams are just simply not broadcasting the games. The Orioles are broadcasting no games on television. Toronto sent nobody down to spring training to broadcast anything, right? So when that happens, that means if you're a Phillies fan and it's up to the other teams to broadcast the games, and this little pod the Phillies are in right now, you're missing out on a lot of games. But the good news is the Yankees broadcast everything. You can catch some games on MLB.TV there.
He's Frank Klokse. His mailbag is back on Tuesdays for the rest of the season. At Frank Klokse for your Phillies mailbag questions. And, of course, he, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk on the hotline. All right, Frank, take care, pal.
Good to talk to you, Mike.
As always, good to see you. We'll be back with more Sports Bash. Jeff Nadeau, our betting insider, our betting expert. All these conference tournaments. He'll tell you the best teams to bet and why. Coming up here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Sign up now for this year's $1 Million Bracket Challenge. Registration is underway now at 973ESPN.com and the free mobile app until the tournament begins. The listener whose bracket has the most correct will win a $500 golden getaway in Atlantic City. Thanks to our friends at GoldenNuggetSports.com. And the top 20 listener brackets will receive a free bet at GoldenNuggetSports.com. So register for the $1 Million Bracket Challenge.
Hell yeah!
Now at 973ESPN.com or the free mobile app. Must be 21 plus to place a bet. Only available in New Jersey. Free bets are for online sportsbook only. Please see website for terms and conditions.
A national championship.
So head to 973ESPN.com or the free mobile app and register for the $1 Million Bracket.
On some models, excludes Corvette. With GMF financing, excludes prior sales. See dealer for details. If you've been waiting for the best deal you can find on a brand new Chevy, then your wait has paid off big time. Right now, during Bennett Chevy's March Markdown event, you can save up to 25% off many of our most popular models. That's right. With Bennett Chevy's famous GM supplier employee pricing, plus you keeping all the rebates, that's up to a whopping 25% off MSRP. Plus, for a limited time, there's 0% financing available on our hottest Chevy models. Got an old beater? Get it to Bennett for an unbeatable $7,000 minimum towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. That's at least $7,000. Imagine what we'll pay for a good trade. And our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So buying at Bennett's always a pleasure with no need to negotiate, plus there's never any sales pressure. Get to Bennett Chevy during our March Markdown event and find new roads. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Heard the good news about COVID-19 vaccines? They're here, but you can do more than wait for your turn. Here's how. Stay at least 6 feet away from folks you don't live with. And it's risky to be indoors with them, too. And masks? Well, they protect both the person wearing them and the folks around them. Wear a mask, watch your distance, and make a big difference now.
Learn more about vaccines at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
When you want experience, go for the best. Pick up the phone and call Dennisville Fence.
Right now, Dennisville Fence is installing your neighbor's new fence. Right now, another neighbor is signing up for their new fence job. Right now is the best time to get started on your new fence or railing project, because right now, the pandemic is causing major supply chain delays. What used to take days can now take weeks or months. So the earlier you start on your new fence or railing project, the more likely you'll finish your project on time, and the sooner you'll enjoy more privacy, safety, security, and style. Don't delay your new fence or railing project. Get started today. Dennisville Fence is open, and we are now scheduling new estimates for spring installations and also offering material sales for DIY and new construction projects.
Go with experience, go for the best. Pick up the phone and call Dennisville Fence. 1-800-499-FENCE.
Visit DennisvilleFence.com.
Progressive presents an interview with your upstairs neighbor.
Hey, it's Rick from upstairs. Yeah, I take it seriously. When I play R&B at 1 a.m, that's me saying, hey, I'm here for you. And I enjoy repetitive bass lines. I only use expired batteries in my smoke detectors. Nice, right? Yeah, upstairs neighbors help people forget their troubles. Give them something else to focus on. Ooh, want to see how high I can jump?
Progressive can't save you from your upstairs neighbor.
No, wait, let me try again.
But we can save you money when you bundle renters and auto insurance with us. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
That meeting's starting at 4. Can I get those projections?
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
Karen, do these numbers look right to you?
Like at Mia's research firm. To hit client deadlines, she needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Making popcorn for movie night?
Whoa, who are you?
This is your wake-up call from TracFone Wireless. What if every time you tried a new streaming service, you had to buy a new TV?
That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, some wireless companies do that when you switch, make you buy a new phone.
Right.
But TracFone Wireless lets you keep your phone and your number and your network, and gives you unlimited talk and text starting at $20 a month.
Seriously, who are you?
This is your wake-up call, people. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. Oh, you're burning it.
Oh, no.
Terms and conditions at trackphone.com.
This is South Jersey's radio home for the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers. WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Hour 2 of the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And, of course, if you're watching the show live on our YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages, of course, Jeff Nadeau is back for a Tuesday. We take a look ahead to all the conference championship tournaments. March Madness is here, and Jeff Nadeau's appearance is brought to you by Prop Swap, America's sports betting marketplace. Sell your sports bets, take your profit, find out how at PropSwap.com or download the Prop Swap app today. This is a perfect time of the year for Prop Swap. You buy that ticket. Let's get a couple of long shots from Jeff to see if you are going to Prop Swap a team for the NCAA tournament, Jeff. What are some of the teams that are like long shots that if they make it to like the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8, you would post that ticket on Prop Swap and be able to take those bids? You got some I don't want to say long shots, but teams, Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan are such heavy favorites that you could get good value on teams that are going to make it to the Elite 8.
Yeah, you can. And thanks for having me, Mike, as always. Always good to talk to you. Yeah, this year is full of those teams because I think outside of the top 2 or 3 teams, it's a real kind of crapshoot. And, luckily for the Elite 8, Mike, there's not 2 or 3 teams. There's 8. So you have plenty of room to find a way in there. Yeah, I mean, as I've said to you before, a team like Loyola Chicago is interesting. I'll throw you 2. Oregon at currently 65-1 at certain spots. They're a team that I think has some real ability. They're finally healthy. They've got a kid that can take over the game in Chris Duarte. They're big. They play a great zone defense. They're a tough team to scheme for. You don't want to see them in your bracket because of Dane Altman's success and his ability to defend and kind of figure things out on the fly. Another group that I've been pretty high on is Purdue. They're another group that really defend at a high level. They've got a really deep team full of veterans and young players alike. They have some real young kids that are terrific. And they have a kid, Mike, Zach Edey, 7'4", 285. Mike, I single-handedly the other day against Indiana won my bet on Purdue because Zach Edey just stood over top of people and rebounded the ball when it matters most. And get this, Mike, Zach Edey is 7'4". Free throw percentage is at 73%. Shout out Ben Simmons. This guy's 7'4", 285, and shoots 74% from the line. If he can do it, Ben, you can do it.
Well, by the way, Ben Simmons' slander will not be taken here. He's shooting 70% from the line in February.
I'll do it all year, Mike.
All right. He's getting better. You can admit that, can't you?
No, he is getting better. It was more just a joke. But yeah, I really like Purdue. I'm high on them. They don't make mistakes. They really grind games out. And they're from a conference where they've been tested all year. Matt Painter, that team's getting hot at the right time. Like 5 straight wins headed into the Big Ten tournament. I talk about Big Ten tournaments, all the tournaments. The biggest key to tournament betting, conference tournaments, betting on teams that are hot. Prime example is Elon. Elon has won 7 in a row, and they're in the conference, the Colonial Conference with a shot to win it tonight. You got to bet on teams that are hot. Purdue's hot. They could make a run.
Elon Drexel, 3.5. There you go. Let's start off with that one for the people.
Yeah, not a person or soul on earth outside of Zach Spiker and the coach at Elon would have thought that those teams would have the opportunity to be in the CAA tournament. But this is what happens, Mike. Weird year, weird things go on. Keep in mind, Elon, I think, started the season 0-7 in conference play, and here they are. When you look at this game, it's a really tough handicap. There's things about Elon that I like. They've made some adjustments, Mike, and that's coaching. When you have things that aren't working and you're struggling for the season, if you find a way to figure it out and get something that works, you got to stick with it. And Elon made a big change. They grabbed the kid that they were playing on the perimeter and said, you know what? We're going to put you down low. You're a matchup problem for some of these bigger guys. The problem that Elon's had on that end is defensively. If they face a team that has bigs that can just kind of body you down low, they're going to give up a lot of points. I worry about that tonight against Drexel. Drexel is a big team. They've got good guard play. They're playing at a really high level. I'll tell you this, Mike. It's a really tough game to handicap. Both teams are playing well. I think Drexel win probably, but I have no interest in betting it. Should be a great CAA final. Two deserving teams that are playing well right now. I lean Drexel, but I won't be betting it.
All right, so let's look at you got a lot of games today in these conference tournaments. The ACC kicking off as well. You don't normally see Duke in this game, but they're getting one of these early first-round ACC games. 11 points. It's up to 13 in some spots. It opened at 11, up to 13 against Boston College. Duke's been playing a lot better recently.
Yeah, there's a lot of sharp money taking Duke today, Mike. A lot of big bettors, a lot of smart bettors coming in and taking Duke here. They don't believe in Boston College, and why should they? It's been a mess of a season for them. You know, I kind of looked at this game and thought over. This kind of screams like 83, 72 or 85-70, something like that. Both these teams do play with a pace to them, and Mike, the problem Duke has had, it's not been scoring. They can score the basketball. It's getting stops defensively. Neither of these teams do much in the way of stopping each other. When you look at overs, a lot of the time people bet overs in like close tournament-style games where every position matters late in the game. This is a game where I don't think possessions are going to matter. It's going to be pretty much a blowout towards the final 5-10 minutes of the game. You're going to get up and down offense. I think BC has the ability to put 70 on a board here. I think if they can do that, this game turns quickly to kind of one of those – 83-73 type of games. I'll lean over here, but there is, Mike, very few things I hate worse than these high-level conference early matchups in conference tournaments. What it means is you have a lot of bad teams. It's just not real enjoyable basketball. It's tough. It's a crapshoot. This card today is very difficult, in my opinion.
It is a tough card. Well, you get these conference games. Teams have got a lot to play for here. Let me go to the number one Gonzaga team. They won like 22 straight games by double digits. They're a 14-point favorite in the West Coast Conference Championship game tonight against BYU. So do they keep that streak going? 14? Do they win by double digits? Do you like that number 14?
I don't love it. I will look at the game that BYU played in Gonzaga February 8th. That was actually in BYU. Mike, with 7 minutes to go, Gonzaga was up 72-50. Final score, 82-71. Brigham Young didn't quit. They played to the final whistle. And, barring the number you got, you either won or lost that game or pushed. Gonzaga just didn't keep their foot on the gas. Last night, this is a team that doesn't keep their foot on the gas. We saw last night, Mike, they had 77 points with 3:40 to go. You know how many points they finished with? 77. Team total was 79.5 for Gonzaga. This team has an issue keeping their foot on the gas because they don't need to. They don't care that much. BYU is the best team in this conference outside of Gonzaga. The way I would look at betting Gonzaga games, I think the only way you can bet them is in the first half right now. I have no interest in laying these big numbers, especially even at 14. That's a solid price. If you're looking to grab Brigham Young, they are the best team outside of Gonzaga by a country mile. So for me, I rode last night Gonzaga first half team total over 38.5. They put up 46 points a game in the first half. They get the job done in the first half. I would look towards some sort of first half for Gonzaga. They're going to win this game. But again, an 82-71 doesn't look any different. It's just about winning games. And this will be a monotone win of a championship. This is expected. They're undefeated.
All right. Another game that I would imagine Jeff Nadeau, at Jeff Nadeau on Twitter, has his eye on. How about Bryant St. Mary's? Started 4.5. It's at 6.5 now.
Yeah, NEC tournament final up in Rhode Island for Bryant. This is a big-time game for them. This is a group that really hasn't had a ton of success. They're coming off a COVID pause, Mike. Played on Saturday against Sacred Heart, first game here in the tournament. Had a couple guys out with COVID. They still won by 30. That's how good this team is. Now they're coming back with a full complement of players. I will tell you this, Mike. One of the issues tonight with this card, there's either low-level conference games as far as teams that aren't good playing each other. The other groups are games like this where you have a clash in styles, tournament finals. You have one team that wants to go a mile a minute. You have another team that wants to slow everything down, play in the half court, defend at a high level. I'll tell you what, Mike, I like the under in this game. I think this is a lot more lower scoring than we would assume. Bryant is a group that is very good offensively, but they do a really good job defensively at shutting down the perimeter. I think Mount St. Mary is going to struggle a bit. Keep in mind, Mount beat them, I believe, twice last year. I know you think I'm on this game, and I want to back Bryant. I think they're going to win, but this number steamed up. The betting public has fell in love with Bryant here. If this touches 7, I don't hate taking Mount St. Mary's here. I think Mount throw a little curveball here and make them play at the pace they don't want to play. I saw them do it this year, Mike, against Wagner. This slow tempo, they struggled with it, Bryant. It's not something they want to play. So I think Bryant will win, but I get a feeling it's closer than people think.
I know tomorrow, just to give some people some help, there's a team on the Bucknell that I'm sure you would like to hit on. By the way, that team is a 14-point spread now. So if you jump on it now, you're going to get 14.
Yeah, Colgate is a group that has really ran roughshod over the Patriot League for a couple of years now. This is a conference that didn't get started this year until the new year. They took care of really every team they played. They didn't play Bucknell, though. And weirdly enough, Mike, I actually remember these two teams were scheduled to play in the regular season, and it got called off due to coronavirus. It was a Saturday-Sunday tilt. I'll tell you right now, if you're going to give me 14, I would take Bucknell. I think Bucknell is better than people think. They have a kid, John Meeks. He's very good. Andrew Funk, a good player as well. This is a team that offensively I think can hang in the gym with Colgate. And they're a team defensively that has the number 1 2-point defense in the league. So if you're going to give me 14 here, that I actually had it at plus 13 the first game. So I'll take an extra point here. It's conference tournament time. It's time to play your best. This is a Bucknell team that's not going to make a ton of mistakes. I don't think they're going to get crushed on the boards. They are not 14 points worse than Colgate. I'd be on the dog here.
All right, one other one tomorrow that I find interesting because you look at Sooners, Oklahoma 14-9, Cyclones, Iowa State 2, and just having a terrible season. But I feel like I look at that 11 is an interesting number there.
Yeah, it is. Oklahoma is a team that over the years, Mike, I'm not sure there's a team in college basketball that has screwed me more than Oklahoma. They're just a team that I don't have a good read on. First game these two teams played, 79-72, Oklahoma. It was close. This is an Oklahoma team recently that lost to Oklahoma State twice, lost to K-State, the worst team in his conference. Really have looked poor at times. Oklahoma doesn't do a whole lot for me. They're a little bit too dependent on the three. I don't love Brady Manick as a player. I think he can kind of get bullied off the ball a lot of the time. I have no interest in laying double digits. It's been a long time since Iowa State won, Mike. But I'll tell you what, they played pretty well against Oklahoma.
They lost 17 in a row. They're 0-18 in conference.
And their only wins this year are against Pine Bluff and Jackson State. Pine Bluff is one of the worst teams in the country, and Jackson State's in the SWAC. Who solid win, but 2 wins on the season. Ugly season for Steve Prohm and company.
All right. Before we roll, Jeff, of course, will be back for the weekend edition when all these conference championship games will be in full swing. And then we have the selection show on Sunday. Your favorite play of the day, tomorrow, maybe the week, because we got all these games. Is there a game that you're zoned in on for the people out there?
Yeah, I took a shot tonight with Oakland plus 2.5 or 3. It depends where you're getting it. It's the it's the Horizon League title game. This is a nutty conference, man. A lot of weird things happen, but Oakland has been very solid throughout. They run a defense it's very tough to score against right now, just because in this conference teams can't shoot at a real high level. They run a zone. I thought they're really dynamic last night against Northern Kentucky. I think they followed up with another big win. Oakland started the season, Mike, 0-9. They have an opportunity to go dancing. A lot of people tell me that their coach and I resemble each other. If you ever look him up, his name is Greg Campy. A lot of people say I resemble him. So I'm going to go with my doppelganger tonight and his boys from up in Michigan, plus the 2.5. I think they go dancing tonight. I'm going to jump on Oakland plus 2.5.
BMOC, Jeff Nadeau, taking a look at some of the games. And, of course, he, like all guests, appears via the Boardwalk on the hotline. We might have some news for Jeff.
No random questions today.
I don't have a random question today. You know why? Because I'm off the rest of the week, and I looked up at the clock today.
Nailing it in early, huh?
I looked at the clock. I said, oh, my gosh, I got to do a show now. I got to do all the production. I got to do everything before I leave.
Mike, look at my picture. The mic lines perfectly with the mic stand. Look at that.
The mic line's perfect.
See the mic stand, like the fake mic stand?
Oh, yeah. Right there. Yeah, it does look pretty good.
That's actually really cool. Hey, Mike, might have something going next week. Might see you soon.
I'll get you the details. If the people listening, we might have some details on something next week for the tournament. And you're going to be down at the MAC tournament at all?
I'm not. It looks like only friends and family are going to be able to be there, but hopefully next year. I'm probably going to be living down there by then. So, yeah, I'll definitely be there next year. But, yeah, this season, I think it's just friends and family can be there. And I'm no friend or family.
Yeah. And Josh.
Josh is going.
He's going tonight, right? As media.
Oh, you got to give me a media pass.
Well, you should have asked. Shout out Boardwalk Hall.
Love Boardwalk Hall. Shout out Boardwalk Hall.
All right, Jeff, we'll talk to you.
Cheers, Mike. Thanks.
Jeff Nadeau is the betting expert, of course, here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. And he, like all guests, appeared to be the Boardwalk Honda hotline. He'll be back for the best of the Sports Bash Saturday to get you ready for the Saturday card. And I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Don't forget, coming up inside the Sixers, MKB. He's got 5 trade targets for you for the Sixers. And we got that coming up next.
There's never an off season for the NFL. It's football at 4 every day at 4 p.m. on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Today just got a little more exciting because you have the chance to win $155 million with Powerball. Talk about a way to really shake things up. So keep it interesting and take your shot because anything can happen in Jersey.
On some models, excludes Corvette with GMF financing, excludes prior sales. See dealer for details. If you've been waiting for the best deal you can find on a brand new Chevy, then your wait has paid off big time. Right now, during Bennett Chevy's March Markdown event, you can save up to 25% off many of our most popular models. That's right. With Bennett Chevy's famous GM supplier employee pricing, plus you keeping all the rebates, that's up to a whopping 25% off MSRP. Plus, for a limited time, there's 0% financing available on our hottest Chevy models. Got an old beater? Get it to Bennett for an unbeatable $7,000 minimum towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. That's at least $7,000. Imagine what we'll pay for a good trade. And our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So buying at Bennett's always a pleasure with no need to negotiate, plus there's never any sales pressure. Get to Bennett Chevy during our March Markdown event and find new roads. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Last night's sleep? Interrupted by pain? Tonight, silence it. With new ZQL Night Pain. Restful sleep, now with powerful pain relief. ZQL Night Pain combines America's #1 sleep aid with a maximum strength pain reliever. So you can fall asleep fast and wake feeling rested, because pain should never get in the way of a great night's sleep. New ZQL Night Pain. Silence pain. Sleep soundly. Available at retailers near you.
Hey, bro. I don't think I can help you move Saturday. My back is really bugging me. I just don't think I can handle it. Sorry.
Hey, dude, it's John. I know I told you I'll be able to help you move. I think Michelle's real mad at me for something. What's that, honey? Oh, dude, I gotta go. Sorry, man.
Call Clark's Moving and Storage in South Jersey for your next local or long-distance move. Clark's, dependable and always shows up. Call 609-889-0780.
Recently, Total Wireless helped Charlie Michelle stage a virtual dance recital for her friends and family.
This event was super meaningful to them.
Because when you move to Total Wireless, you can get amazing devices on nationwide 5G. And with unlimited plans starting at $25 a month, you could save up to $1,200 a year.
Thank you, Total Wireless, for helping me pull this off.
Total Wireless. Do amazing. Compatible 5G device required. 5G network in limited areas. Month equals 30 days. Savings time made when compared to 4-line postpaid plans of leading carriers 10-20-20. See terms and conditions at TotalWireless.com.
O'Reilly. This is Jesse's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
As a nurse, not making it to work was not an option. But driving through the snow with my wiper blades struggling, I just didn't feel safe. So I pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts, and before I knew it, an employee was offering to install the wiper blades on my car. I got to stay out of the snow for a moment, and I still made it to work on time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Good morning, Private.
Good morning, Drill Sergeant.
I mean, seriously, what a pleasant morning. The sun is shining and the birds are chirping.
You seem to be in a good mood today.
Astute observation.
He's probably happy because he found out Honey Nut Cheerios can help lower cholesterol as part of a heart-healthy diet.
They're even shaped like hearts. So, in lieu of the obstacle course today, I propose a nice meditative nature walk. Does that sound delightful to everyone?
Yes, Drill Sergeant.
Happy heart shapes are back for a limited time. Learn more about Honey Nut Cheerios by picking up a box at your local store.
If you own a small business, you know how hard it can be to find new customers. Now, Town Square Media has new tools that can help your business stand out and grow. Go to GetLocalCustomersNow.com for a free competitive analysis that will show you what other businesses are doing to find new customers and how you can do it too with Town Square Media. Be one of the first business owners to sign up and receive $500 in free advertising on this station. Start growing your business today. Visit GetLocalCustomersNow.com. That's GetLocalCustomersNow.com.
If you're very quiet, you can hear it. The joy, the freedom, the crunch. From 100% whole grain oats. Stay outside longer with Nature Valley Oats and Honey Crunchy Granola Bars. We are better outside.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And, of course, you can watch the show live, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter on our website, 973ESPN.com. I see Michael Kasky-Bowman is either hanging upside down or what are you doing over there?
My bad. I had my phone down while I was waiting to come on.
MKB,
I wish I was hanging upside down.
Yeah, I mean, it had me a little dizzy there.
my bad.
Michael Kasky-Bowman covers the Sixers for CBS Sports. He covers the NBA as well. And, of course, he, like all guests, appears in the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Sports Bash brought to you by East Coast Roofing, Siding, Windows, serving all of South Jersey. If you call, they'll show up online, eastcoastroofing.com. MKB, what it is, man.
What's going on, Mike? How you doing?
All-Star break in the books. A little disappointing not to see Joel and Ben. Do you have any idea what their status is for Thursday night? Do we have any clue on whether or not they will be able to play on Thursday or Friday?
It's still up in the air. Everything I've heard so far, they've tested negative each day so far, including yesterday on every test they've taken since. So as long as they continue to test negative, I think they should be. I mean, Thursday's still up in the air, but I don't think it should be an extended situation. They probably should be back by Friday at least.
Now, obviously, they are the number one seed at the All-Star break, but they are not the number one betting seed if you are looking for the favorite right now. Do you agree that they would not be the favorite in the East at this point? They, by the way, from what I saw, were not one, they were not two. They were actually the third best odds in the East.
Yeah, and I think they should have better odds than Milwaukee, but I do understand why the odds makers will put Brooklyn, ahead of them with the way they've been playing. And the fact that the Nets haven't really even had, they've been without Durant. Kyrie was in and out of the lineup. They got James Harden in the middle of that first half of the season. So they haven't even really had the opportunity to develop the chemistry that, they probably will. And they're still a half a game, right behind Philly in the standings. So I think when you take all that into account and the fact of, how good those guys are individually, it makes sense that they would be probably the top pick coming out of the East. I do think the Sixers have a better chance than Milwaukee this year, but I have no problem with the Nets being the favorite.
Thoughts on Blake Griffin? Move the needle?
Not much. I mean, I think it's always good when you can get a player of his caliber and his experience to be, just a bench piece. It doesn't hurt the team, but to me, when that move, it didn't address any of their specific needs. They still need some rim protection, big bodies down in the paint. He's not that. And he's obviously not the player that he was in LA. So I think during the regular season, especially, it'll be beneficial. He'll be able to eat up a lot of minutes. I'm sure it'll, be easier for him with all the great players around him to kind of just fit in and play a role. But I just question how much he'll be able to contribute in the postseason. He's kind of a liability defensively at this point. He's, injuries and things have sapped the athleticism. He struggles to guard quicker perimeter, big men. Like I said, he doesn't have the size to bang with a guy like Joel. So, it's a fine move, but I don't feel like they're much closer to a championship with his addition than they were before it.
I know a lot of people keep looking at this matchup, Philly and the Nets, but we think that Philly will have some more pieces, we would imagine, and the Nets likely. But what are some of the trade targets that you have for the Sixers some of the names that the Sixers could be that could have their eye on as the deadline approaches in 3 weeks?
Yeah, there's obviously been a couple that have been reported. PJ Tucker from Houston is one that a lot of teams have their eye on. He would fit as, a floor spacing big off the bench that could play with Joel and help with some of the defensive rebounding. Nemanja Bjelica from Sacramento, another big guy that can space the floor and shoot at a high clip. And then, there's a couple others. Obviously, Austin Rivers with the connection that he has with Doc and the fact that he's kind of been forced out of the rotation with the Knicks since, they signed Derrick Rose. He hasn't been playing much. There's obviously a few other guys. Terrence Ross is a name that, I've heard pop up, and that's not the first time they've been interested in Terrence Ross for, a couple years now. He would be a nice addition off of the bench. And obviously Kyle Lowry is the big one. My man Keith Pompey from the Inquirer reported a few weeks ago that there was some mutual interest there. I think he would be the biggest needle mover, like the biggest name for the Sixers. Otherwise, it would probably be, looking to bolster the bench, add some shooting and some scoring off of the bench to make that playoff push.
Now, over at CBS Sports, Michael Kasky-Blomain, you mentioned PJ Tucker. You mentioned, obviously, Kyle Lowry, Terrence Ross. But Fournier is an interesting guy who you did not mention here. I think he would be a very intriguing fit on this team.
Yeah, he'd be an excellent fit, Mike. He fits pretty much exactly what the team needs in terms of a guy that obviously can play off ball and knock down shots at a high rate, but also the type of guy you can put the ball in his hands and set a couple screens for, and he has the ability to, generate his own offense, which, to complement Ben and Joel, that's something they would really need. And he's a guy that technically, he could slide right into the starting five there and play off of those guys or come in off of the bench and give them some, production that way. So I'm not sure what the level of interest is based on, how much they'd be asking for him. I know the Magic are open to the idea of trading him. I'm not sure what the asking price would be, but like you said, on paper, he would definitely be, a great addition for what the Sixers need.
Let me ask you how, and this might be just an opinion, but how willing are the Sixers to part with Maxey Thibault? Are they like, hey, if we know to get better, we have to move one of them? Or are they looking to do more of like, hey, we'll take your contract, couple second-round picks, and we want to match salary?
I think there's willingness on their end to make a move like that, Mike. I think obviously Daryl Morey is well aware that if they're going to make any sort of move leading up to this deadline that's going to, really move the needle, they're going to have to part with something. And, it's not going to be Joel. It's not going to be Ben. It's not going to be Tobias. And at that point, other than, future draft picks, all they really have to offer is these, trio of young guys in Maxey, Matisse, or Shake Milton. So, I think that they view it as that there's an open championship, a chance here to get out of the East and potentially, make a run at a championship here. And at that point, to improve it, you got to sacrifice along the margin sometimes. So I think, they're not shopping those guys per se, but if the right deal for, say, as Kyle Lowry presents itself and those, that's the factor that they have to part with one of those guys, I do think they'd be, ready and willing to do so.
Yeah, the problem, like, you're not getting like Zach LaVine or someone of that magnitude without, I don't know, just trading Shake Milton and Tyrese Maxey, or any two of those guys net you back a player of that magnitude.
I don't think so, Mike, outside of the Kyle Lowry situation, because Kyle's a guy, he's on the last year of his contract. If the Raptors were to move on from him, I do think they would, work with him to find somewhere that he wanted to be. Philadelphia makes sense. And at that point, they're going to lose him probably in free agency anyway. And getting one or two young guys like that back would be worthwhile. But for a guy like Zach LaVine or Victor Oladipo or some of the other bigger names that might be available, I don't think the Sixers really have enough, and they're obviously, like I said, they're not going to touch Ben or Joel. And outside of those guys, I think they would probably be outbid. So that's why I think Kyle Lowry's the one, the one guy to keep an eye on. If they're willing to part with some of those young guys, I do think the deal could, probably get done.
Right. So the biggest name, the best and biggest name that you think is Lowry. Is there anybody else in that range, or mostly everybody else would be more of a secondary or bench player?
Yeah, Mike. I mean, unless there's they pull something out that I'm not seeing, I think the best situation then is that they would just upgrade the bench, bring in a couple guys that can score and put the ball in the basket, and, just continue to ride Ben, Joel, and Tobias as much as they have been. I think that's, the most likely scenario outside of landing Lowry.
Yeah, because you and then I don't know if you know of any of the buyout names that are going to start appearing, but that's another market that should be highly competitive, and one that the Sixers might be more inclined to go down that road, much like they did a couple of years ago when they went and got Ilyasova and not Ginobili, Bellinelli. They went buyout market, and that was maybe the best, group of, best collection that they had.
Yeah, that's another thing that, teams that have a legitimate chance of winning a title or at least making a deep playoff run like the Sixers do this year tend to be the teams that, do the best in the buyout market because these veterans are looking for an opportunity to, potentially compete for a title later in the career. So it will be interesting. It's sometimes it comes out of left field. You don't know who's going to be bought out. Obviously, the Andre Drummond situation in Cleveland is one to keep an eye on, but he's not, necessarily a name that the Sixers would be looking to bring in anyway. So I agree there that even if they don't make huge moves at the trade deadline, there is still a chance for improvement through the buyout market. And I think, Brooklyn would be a top team, and also obviously the Lakers and the Clippers as they were last year. And I think the Sixers fit right into that conversation for buyout candidates.
Are you on board with a guy like Ariza? Would he be a guy you'd be interested in? I mean, he hasn't played, but he would be like Iguodala last year.
Yeah, absolutely. A guy like that, I mean, his role would be minimal or minimized, obviously, and he brings a lot of experience and, 3-and-D mentality to the team. It's something that they would need. A couple of veterans like that could play not even big minutes, 10 minutes in the playoffs that could help turn a game or a series is, that's the kind of a best case scenario in the buyout market. So Ariza, other guys like that would definitely be, for me, something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I know it should be interesting. A lot of second half storylines with the buyouts and the trades, but there's another second half story, Michael Kasky-Blomain. The Sixers schedule coming out is pretty brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a tough stretch coming up, and I think that's the reason that there's a little bit of concern, regarding Ben and Joel with having to potentially miss a couple of these early games because it starts off, it's not too bad. They play the Knicks. I think the Wizards are their first two games, and the Bulls maybe in some order right there. And if they can start off
Bulls, Wizards, Spurs, Knicks,
there we go.
Bucks.
So, those first four up until the Bucks are winnable games, and they're not, obviously you would like to have your full complement of players there to pick up wins and to, continue to grow the chemistry. Obviously, they ended that first half on a high note with the win against Utah. And in the second half of the season, you want to continue to develop that chemistry. And especially, like you said, once they hit the road for, I think there's almost a 2-week road trip right there after those first few home games. And it's going to be, the Nets are breathing down their neck. I think it's extremely important for the Sixers to finish with at least a top 2 seed in the conference, if not the top overall seed, which I do think by the end of the season, the Nets will probably overtake the Sixers for that top spot. But the Sixers, to me, really need, home court advantage, and they need to avoid potentially facing the Nets in the first 2 rounds. So to me, that second seed is crucial, and they need these, as many wins as possible.
Yeah, midway through MKB, how do they match up with Milwaukee?
Yeah, I'm kind of bullish on the Sixers' chances against Milwaukee this season, and even in the past, I think they have, guys that they can throw at Giannis defensively, a multitude. You can put Ben on him for a while. Matisse, Joel could spend, a stretch on him. They have guys to throw at him. And I think, the Bucks don't necessarily have an answer for Joel inside. Lopez is a decent paint defender, but they just don't have an answer for Joel. So I do think that they would fare well against Milwaukee in a series. To me, it's really just the Nets at this point that, could be a problem for Philly.
And your prediction, Joel Embiid, will he be the MVP? First time a center would win since Shaq did it 20 years ago.
I don't want to jinx him. Obviously, Mike, you and I know very well issues he's had with his health in the past that seem to pop up out of nowhere. But as long as he can stay healthy and play at the, about the same clip of games that he did in the first half, I do believe so. Especially if the Sixers stay up in that top couple seeds in the East. I think that he's, finally realizing the potential that people have seen in him for years, and he's putting together a historic season so far.
Should be fun. Second half begins Thursday night right here on 97.3 ESPN.
Yes, sir.
We'll see if now the Sixers have not had fans in the building yet, correct?
That's correct. Sunday against the Spurs, I think, will be the first game.
Will be the first time they have fans in the building. All right.
Yeah.
So does that mean you guys are going to have to go back to the crappy seats?
I was wondering the same thing because I've gotten really used to having the nice tables and all the space to spread out. I'm interested to see what they do with that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. And fans should be back Sunday night. Sixers Spurs. They're at Chicago, at Washington, and then home against the Spurs. Fans will be back in the building for the first time this season. MKB is always in the building, and he is kind enough to join us on Inside the Sixers today. Michael, take care, bud.
You too, Mike. Good talking to you.
Yeah, man. It's Michael Kasky-Blomain, and he, like August, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. And, of course, the Sixers are back Thursday night. We'll have the game for you, all the action, with Tom McGinnis calling the action here on 97.3 ESPN. Trade for Terry Rozier. Yeah, I would like Terry Rozier would be a nice pickup for this team. Guy can score the basketball. All right, coming up, we've got Andrew DiCecco for today's football at 4 in about 24 minutes, so stick around for that. Also, Pete Thompson, Tuesday with Thompson tonight. Flyers are back in action tonight on 97.3 ESPN. They take on Buffalo. Buffalo's lost 7 in a row. They are hideous. So this is a game the Flyers need tonight. And you can hear the game right here with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates. Kevin Durso will be live. Is the game at the Fargo Center tonight? If it is, Kevin Durso with a live report tonight at 6:20. Right here on 97.3 ESPN. All right. Text messages, I'm going to get to them next. So right now, if you want to text into the show, I promise I will get to your text messages on the other side. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. I promise I'm answering the text messages on the other side. There's a lot piled up here, so I will get to them. If you want to text, I'm reading text messages next segment right here, 609-403-0973. Brought to you by Broadleaf's Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning, your local provider who makes it easy to upgrade your home to the most energy-efficient equipment on the market. Learn how to get a free furnace during the month of March only. Online, broadleaf.net. All right, again, I will answer the text messages next, 609-403-0973. If you're watching the show, I will answer the chats and the texts next. I promise. I do. I will. I'll do it next.
It's Sixers basketball Thursday night on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Backing, turning, hanging, firing. It's good. Tobias Harris. He can't be stopped at OT.
The Sixers are in Chicago to face the Bulls.
Thursday night, coverage begins at 8 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
Termite season is quickly approaching. Is your home protected? Whether you're renovating or getting ready for spring, stop termites, mice, and ants in their tracks. Visit VikingPest.com for a pest-free home. That's VikingPest.com.
Get the credit you deserve during Matt Blatt Kia's Madness in March sales event with 0 down and 0% APR financing for 75 months. Get to Matt Blatt Kia in Toms River and Egg Harbor Township, because at Matt Blatt Kia, we want to get you approved today. And you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Plus, we want your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. So get out of that old car you hate. Come in today or visit us online and get the credit you deserve. Put 0 down and get 0% APR financing available for up to 75 months on every new 2021 Kia Sportage, or take $2,500 off MSRP, because
it's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Offers with approved Tier 1 or 2 credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. 0% based on $1,333 for $1,000 borrowed. All Kia Motors factory rebates to dealer. Go to MattBlattKiaNJ.com for complete details. Expires 4/5/2021. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Making popcorn for movie night?
Whoa, who are you?
This is your wake-up call from TracFone Wireless. What if every time you tried a new streaming service, you had to buy a new TV?
That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, some wireless companies do that when you switch, make you buy a new phone.
Right.
But TracFone Wireless lets you keep your phone and your number and your network, and gives you unlimited talk and text starting at $20 a month.
Seriously, who are you?
This is your wake-up call, people. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. Oh, you're burning it.
Oh, no.
See terms and conditions at TracFone.com.
This is Renee.
Happy to be here.
She's not some influencer. She's more of a groundbreaker, turning her 4-acre lot into a little slice of heaven behind the wheel of a John Deere 1 Series tractor. Renee runs with us because the most important job is the next one.
That's all I got.
Nothing runs like a Deere. Get a 1 Series tractor for just $99 per month at your John Deere dealer today. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 855-633-2315.
Ooh, a fondue set. Ugh, now I need to find a coupon code.
Not anymore, Susan. Capital One Shopping instantly searches for available coupon codes and automatically applies them at checkout.
Wait, instantly?
It's called shopping smart, not hard. Download Capital One Shopping to your computer for free and let it do the work for you.
Don't mind if I fondue.
Haha, that's kind of cheesy. Capital One Shopping. It's kind of genius. What's in your wallet?
Savings and available coupons vary.
O'Reilly. Trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your car, like 5 quarts of O'Reilly full synthetic motor oil and a MicroGuard filter, just $26.99. Extend the life of your vehicle and improve performance with a synthetic oil change. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Liberty.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
As a minimalist, paying less for insurance is more.
Nice place. Is your house a bubble?
It's a dome. I find corners unnecessary.
At Liberty Mutual, that's how we feel about overpaying for insurance.
But I do miss having shelves.
What would you do on them?
Nothing, obviously.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
If you're very quiet, you can hear it. The joy, the freedom, the crunch from 100% whole grain oats. Stay outside longer with Nature Valley Oats and Honey Crunchy Granola Bars. We are better outside.
You can watch the Sports Bash live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Search 97.3 ESPN or visit our website, 97.3ESPN.com.
Sports Bash Live 97.3 ESPN. I'm Mike Gill. At Mike Gill Show. Give me a follow on Twitter and hang out with the show each and every day live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You can watch the show live at 97.3ESPN.com. All right, I said I will answer the text messages. I will get to them in just a second. Before I do, I want to tell you about my friends at Trifecta Therapeutics. Anyone in South Jersey right now, they're in Glassboro, and they have a unique approach to physical therapy and rehab with each of their clients using treatment plans to get you feeling better, playing better, and, of course, staying better. That's the key. Don't want to go, then have to go right back again because you broke down. Trifecta Therapeutics, the incredible team in Glassboro. To find out how they can help you, online, trifectatherapeutics.com. They're within an earshot of my voice in Glassboro, the premier rehab and performance center in South Jersey. All right, 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. I will answer your text messages. This will be like kind of like we did Mike's mailbag yesterday. This will be open forum. Whatever you want to ask, I will answer right now because I got a lot of text messages that I didn't disregard. It's just been a lot going on. Mike, I want to take Pitts just so the Giants can't. Imagine the matchup nightmare against them when they have Saquon, Pitts, and Ingram. Giants with Pitts. That would be interesting. I mean, with Ingram on the team already, would they go that route? I think the Giants need a couple of – I mean, they need offensive line help bad still. Their defense was better last year, but I can't imagine. Now, where are the Giants picking? The Giants have got to be in the top – what are they, like 9, 10, somewhere around there? The Giants are – 11. Okay. The Cowboys are 10. So the Giants are 11. I mean, if Pitts is there at 11, maybe. I don't think he's going to be there at 11. I don't think he gets to 11. No way, in my opinion, that he gets to 11. Could they trade up? Could they try to make a move into, like, could the Giants say, we really want Pitts? I'm just saying, like, I'm thinking about all scenarios here. And they jump up and move into like the Carolina spot or Detroit spot. I mean, Detroit would be a team that could trade down. They're so bad they could get more picks. But I just don't see Pitts being there at 11. If I'm the Giants, I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at this mock draft. McShay, he's got Waddle going to the Giants, which is a little bit surprising to me. I mean, they need help. I don't know. I look at the skill position player the Giants have. They obviously have Shepard and Slayton. They've got Saquon Barkley. They've got Ingram. I mean, if anything, the Giants should almost be in play for one of the quarterbacks. I mean, have they made the decision on Daniel Jones at this point yet? I mean, right? I mean, Josh says Gettleman's still there, and he loves them. But their offensive line's still a problem. They took Hernandez, 2 years ago? They still need help on the offensive line. Their defense was better last year. I don't know. I mean, if you're going best player available and Pitts is on the board at 11, you got to steal. So to say, though, you're going to take him just so somebody else can't, you can't do that. I mean, that's preposterous. That's like saying, hey, I have a franchise quarterback, but I'm going to draft somebody. I'm going to draft another quarterback in the first round just so that team can't have him. Can't do that. Can't think that way. Mike, I'm a Jets fan, and I would prefer Sewell. But after watching tape on Pitts and seeing some mock drafts with the Jets taking him, I would be pumped if the Jets picked him. He's a stud. Hopefully our football guy, Joe Douglas, can make a smart pick. All right. That's an interesting one. So you want Sewell. You're a Jets fan. You want Sewell at 2? At 2. Okay, for the Jets. Yeah, you could take a tackle at 2. That's not out of the question. If I'm the Jets, I'm probably keeping Darnold. And I'm not I got into a conversation with my friend today who was asking me about who I like better, Wentz or Darnold. And I said, well, resume-wise, I like Wentz better. Darnold hasn't done anything for me to be excited about. I don't think he stinks. I got him just as a middle-of-the-road guy. Can he be better somewhere else? Maybe. But guess what? Part of the fact that you're a first-round pick quarterback is that you make the team around you somewhat better. Darnold hasn't done that. Now, he's been hurt. He's had 2 years ago, they signed Bell, and people thought they could be a playoff team. Darnold just didn't play very well. A lot of interceptions. He's got 45 touchdowns and 39 interceptions in his career. I mean, you're trying to tell me to compare Carson Wentz to Darnold. As bad as Wentz was last year, Darnold isn't even in the same ballpark. And that's with how bad Wentz was last year. Wentz, in terms of the touchdown to intercept, 45 to 39. That's horrible. Carson Wentz, by the way, is 113-50. Sam Darnold and Carson Wentz aren't in the same category. And that's with how bad Wentz was last year. Now, this isn't me giving Wentz a pass. He was hideous last year. Darnold's just been, all right. That being said, if I'm the Jets, I still probably don't take a quarterback because I think Darnold can play. I think he's been in a bad situation. But Darnold, to me, I mean, the numbers across the board. Can't play full 16, hasn't done it once. Completion percentage, low, under 60% twice. Turns the ball over, 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 19 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. This year he had 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He was terrible this year. Average yards a pass, 6.9 is basically right across, so not a big play guy. I mean, Darnold to me is an average guy. I don't love maybe it's me. I just don't love the quarterbacks in this class. Is that a problem? Is that a me? Do people like Zach Wilson more than I do? Maybe. I watched Zach Wilson play the game against Coastal Carolina. Let's be honest. I don't want to slight Coastal Carolina too much here, but they aren't throwing Bill Belichick principles at you. They're not going to throw Sean McDermott principles at them. I think Zach Wilson's going to have a tough time making the jump from Coastal Carolina giving him problems to playing in the AFC East all of a sudden.
There's a huge problem right now, Mike, when it comes to these quarterbacks. Because of the truncated season, people are forgetting about the fact that you are literally drafting guys like Wilson and Trey Lance on potential and not actual ability, because those guys have limited resumes to work on.
Lance is even less.
Well, Lance has basically three or four more starts than Trubisky had his entire college career. So that tells you where that guy's coming from. Wilson has had both shoulders surgeried on, all right? So he missed time before this past year. There's lots of concerns about, is his body going to hold up to the NFL? And then, as you mentioned, you have the number 3 offense in college football. Number 3 out of 124 qualifying teams. And you scored less than 20 points in Coastal Carolina. Like, I don't know, man. I don't hate Zach Wilson, but I feel like people are looking at him and Lance and looking at their potential and not on their actual
That's
ability.
what people do. I mean, the draft has become potential. What can I get out of you? What didn't the other guy get out of you that I can? If I'm the Jets, the only reason I would take Wilson is if I feel I can trade Darnold and get a haul. Other than that, now I'm stuck with both of them. And if I don't think I have a lot of value in Darnold, I mean, I guess I get it. Here's the problem. I have a hard time saying I drafted Sam Darnold. What was he, the 5th pick?
He was the 3rd pick.
3rd pick. And that 3 years in, I've already given up on that.
What drives me nuts about this is if you draft Zach Wilson, this is now 3 of 4 quarterbacks the Jets have drafted who have all been drafted on potential. So you drafted Darnold on potential. Remember, he didn't start a ton of games at USC. You drafted Mark Sanchez on potential. He started basically a season and a half at USC. Now you're drafting Zach Wilson on potential. It just feels like this organization keeps going back to the well.
That's one of the problems with the way the draft is set up now. These guys are coming out after their junior year. Some of them are only getting to start their junior year because the guy in front of them started for 2 years and then he left, and then you sat behind him for 2 years. Right. You started 1 year, and then you had one good year, and now you leave. So you're only getting to see these guys for really 1 year. I mean, that's one of the problems with the way the draft is kind of setting up nowadays. Like Justin Fields, I would love
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, but I would love to see one more year to see, to me.
But the big difference is Fields has a better resume to work off of than some of these other guys. Like, you've seen him in big games. Now, he's been good, but not great in those games.
Yeah.
The problem with him is a third of Justin Fields' interceptions have all been against Clemson and Alabama. So based on that, people might say, well, he was good, but not great. Wilson, he had one big game last year. He failed. The year before, he did much better in the bowl game. Which game do you run off of? Do you run off of the Coastal Carolina game or the bowl game for the year before? Trey Lance, he had one game this past year. He has 17 total.
Am I on this island by myself that I don't love this quarterback class?
No, you're not alone, because to me, I think it's
Lawrence.
Then
4 guys are going to be in the first round.
5. There'll probably be 5.
I mean, the first 10 picks.
There might be even 5 because the
Zach
Carolina
Wilson,
supposedly loves Mac Jones.
He's another one. Zach Wilson, he just doesn't push my pile.
I understand why people love him. I've talked to guys like Eric Edholm and Emery Hunt about this. They keep telling me that he has great tools. And I'm like, that's great, but I can't just settle on a guy because he gets great tools. I need the football player to play football.
Yeah, and then like Carolina, like for them to trade all the way up, you just signed Bridgewater. Bridgewater's a gamer. He's had some great years last year. Like, that just wasn't a good team. You lost McCaffrey for most of the season. You had a new coach. You just didn't have a really good team. The fact that, I get it, the coach probably won, but they signed Bridgewater. I'm not, like, to me, you're trading up to go get Justin Fields. This is a mock draft, obviously, so that doesn't necessarily mean, but everybody thinks they want to move up to get a quarterback.
Yeah, there's a lot of chatter that the Panthers are really looking at the quarterback position, which, like you said, is a little odd when you gave Bridgewater that extension that you did. The only quarterback that makes sense, that scenario, to me at least, is Trey Lance, because Trey Lance needs a year or two to sit. He needs a year or two to just digest the NFL.
That's not a bad reason.
So if you pick Lance and you have Bridgewater starting for 2 more years, I get that. Any other scenario, like, to me, Fields theoretically could start day 1.
All right, real quick, text message. If Sewell is there at 6, there is 0 questions. I totally disagree.
I disagree too.
Penei Sewell is not on my draft board if I'm the Eagles. I mean, not that he stinks. You might be right. Building block position. I drafted a left tackle 2 years ago, and I have a left tackle that I feel like can handle the position, Jordan Mailata. I like Dillard, and I like Mailata to battle that out. I'm not drafting Sewell. I have way too many other problems.
If Sewell is there at 6, you call the other 26 teams behind you
There you
and
go.
say, give me something.
Absolutely. If Sewell's there at 6, I move back, especially if Sewell is there and Pitts or Chase is there. Now I really have a position of power. Who wants Sewell? My phone is on vibrate for the next 10 minutes. Hit me up.
Sign up now for this year's $1 Million Bracket Challenge. Registration is underway now at 973ESPN.com and the free mobile app until the tournament begins. The listener whose bracket has the most correct will win a $500 golden getaway in Atlantic City. Thanks to our friends at GoldenNuggetSports.com. And the top 20 listener brackets will receive a free bet at GoldenNuggetSports.com. So register for the $1 Million Bracket Challenge.
Hell yeah!
Now at 973ESPN.com or the free mobile app. Must be 21 plus to place a bet. Only available in New Jersey. Free bets are for online sportsbook only. Please see website for terms and conditions.
A national championship.
So head to 973ESPN.com or the free mobile app and register for the $1 Million Bracket.
Health update with Robin Stoloff. Learn more, live better.
Have you ever tried to set a goal or accomplish something only to have that goal or plan fail or just not work out? If so, you may be interested in trying SMART goal setting. SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time sensitive. Let's use weight loss as an example. Make it specific, as in I want to lose 10 pounds instead of I want to lose weight. Measurable, of course, we can keep track of our weight. Achievable, break it down into steps. If you want to lose 50 pounds, start with the first 10. Relevant, know why you want to do it. And finally, time sensitive. You want to lose 10 pounds over 12 weeks, for example. Write it all down and keep it where you can see it. Goal setting is an important part of actually accomplishing anything you set your mind to. So when you set a goal, make sure it's a SMART goal.
Health update with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life.
On some models, excludes Corvette with GMF financing, excludes prior sales. See dealer for details. If you've been waiting for the best deal you can find on a brand new Chevy, then your wait has paid off big time. Right now, during Bennett Chevy's March Markdown event, you can save up to 25% off many of our most popular models. That's right. With Bennett Chevy's famous GM supplier employee pricing, plus you keeping all the rebates, that's up to a whopping 25% off MSRP. Plus, for a limited time, there's 0% financing available on our hottest Chevy models. Got an old beater? Get it to Bennett for an unbeatable $7,000 minimum towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. That's at least $7,000. Imagine what we'll pay for a good trade. And our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So buying at Bennett's always a pleasure with no need to negotiate, plus there's never any sales pressure. Get to Bennett Chevy during our March Markdown event and find new roads. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
A message from your neighbors and friends at First Bank. We've been serving residents and businesses of Sea Isle City and the surrounding communities for more than 130 years. Today's challenges, while unique, are another opportunity to show our strength and resilience. Our commitment to you remains strong. Whether it's using our drive-through services, bank by phone, the First Bank mobile app, or online banking, we're staying strong with you. Be safe and be secure. First Bank, here for you.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
So you think you have unlimited data?
Recalculating.
Think again. If you have unlimited data on a network you can't trust, your data is limited, and so are you. Set your smartphone free with the unlimited plan from Total Wireless. Get 4 lines with unlimited data on the nation's best network now with 5G, with 100 gigabytes at high speed, then 2G for just $25 a month per line.
You have arrived at your destination.
Get unlimited and save. Total Wireless. Do amazing. Available at authorized dealers. See terms and conditions at TotalWireless.com.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
Breathe out and repeat after me. Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance.
so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Your bird is eating my candles.
Your bird is eating my candles.
No, seriously, he's making a mess.
No, seriously, he's...
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Get a customized quote at libertymutual.com.
If you own a small business, you know how hard it can be to find new customers. Town Square has new tools that can help your business stand out and grow. Go to getlocalcustomersnow.com for a free competitive analysis that will show you what other businesses are doing to find new customers and how you can do it too with Town Square. Be one of the first businesses to sign up and receive $500 in free advertising on this station. Start growing your business today. Visit getlocalcustomersnow.com. That's getlocalcustomersnow.com.
South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers. He scored! 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with 97.3 ESPN.com's Andrew DiCecco.
My first allegiance is what will be best for the Philadelphia Eagles and our fans for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. It's Football at 4.
Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast and brought to you by Dr. Lyle M. Back. For everything from skincare to cosmetic surgery, go to ilovelylback.com. Call 856-MAKEOVER for Dr. Lyle M. Back, proud sponsor of Football at 4. We talk about it. Makeovers, this Eagles franchise, this Eagles roster is going over a complete overhaul makeover. They just made a couple of moves today that brought them under the cap, not under the cap completely, but will cut off about $2 million more. Trayvon Hester and Blake Countess have been released, so the Eagles are continuing to make some moves to try to get under that cap. Joining me now for another edition of Football at 4 on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline is Andrew DiCecco, InsideTheBirds.com, and, of course, Football at 4 here on 97.3 ESPN. What's going on, Andrew?
Hey, Mike, I'm doing well and, enjoying this nice weather. How are you?
Doing good. The weather's nice, but 50 days into the NFL draft, even better, eh?
Yeah, man.
All right. So I know you like to talk draft. I know you like to talk about a lot of draft things. I want to get to that in just a second. But first, I want to get your take on yesterday's reporting that essentially said, and what it tells you, that Jeff Lurie wants to prioritize building around Jalen Hurts. What is read the tea leaves on that for us a little bit?
Well, I mean, that kind of harkens back to what I've been saying for the past few weeks. And in my approach, what I would do and what makes the most sense moving forward for the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, it says that Jeffrey Lurie, to me, has a big say, which we all kind of knew. He has a big say in what's going on, and it's very unusual for an owner to kind of make that declaration that this is going to be the way it's going to be moving forward in 2021. But I mean, looking beyond that, I would say it makes the most sense because there's so many holes in the roster that to keep playing this quarterback carousel, throwing darts at the board, for another year, seeing a premium draft pick on that, I think you just have to start. You have to ride with the guy that you invested a second-round pick in last year and start building pieces around him to see if that – and not just him, the roster itself, because the defense needs a lot of work too. But, I mean, you'll find out soon enough if Jalen Hurts is the guy or not. But I think right now you're not going to win. You're not going to win a championship anyway, in all likelihood. So ride it out with Jalen Hurts in this year. See what you can do. See if you can get some young wide receivers and, an offensive line, some men pieces there, defensive line, some pieces there. And, if he's not the guy, you'll be picking high next year anyway. And you'll have opportunity to find that guy that you're looking for. It's going to lead the franchise.
All right. Mortensen. So he says, Lurie has instructed his group to prioritize making Hurts successful. Does that scream to you, I want to draft a skill position player to help my quarterback out?
Well, I mean, and that's another thing that I was saying. They can't make the same mistake that they made with the previous quarterback, and they need to start surrounding the quarterback with talent and bona fide talent. And that, to me, when I heard that, it signals to me that it's either going to be an offensive lineman or a skill player, because, you want to surround him with talent. Well, that also, it includes the trenches there to shore that up, to make sure he's got the proper protection. But I mean, it kind of, to me, signals it's either going to be, a Penei Sewell, should he fall to 6, a Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, Devontae Smith even. So, I mean, I those are the players that I would kind of anticipate getting a lot of traction with the Eagles in the coming weeks.
Now, are you surprised about the about face? Because about the time that Wentz got traded, there was reports that the Eagles intended to bring in competition. There's two things that I look at here, Andrew. One, if you're saying, look, I want to build around Hurts, does that limit the level of backup quarterback that you can bring in here? That's one. And two, it was reported before they intended to bring in competition for Hurts, and then all of a sudden that changed. That seems to be a quick turn.
Yeah, I think once they realize how the money that they're working with here and the quality of player that you're really going to bring in, in all likelihood, you're not going to get a veteran that's going to push Jalen Hurts with what the Eagles have to work with from a cap standpoint. I mean, I don't know how much of Ryan Fitzpatrick would want to come here at this stage of his career. I mean, he's more of that bridge quarterback that on a playoff caliber team, even a championship contender. I think that he would be more inclined to go there at this stage of his career. Jacoby Brissett, same thing, young enough quarterback that I think that he has starting potential. Why would he want to come to Philadelphia? So, I mean, really what you're looking at is a guy that you could, someone that's not really seriously going to challenge a former second round pick. And I think that they had no choice but to say, this is who we're going with, and we're going to start to build around him.
Andrew DiCecco, Football 4 here, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Let me ask you, I know we kind of brushed on this a little bit, but there's some more conversation about it. The Eagles at 6, it doesn't sound like they're going to take a quarterback at that spot. But if, Hurts was a member of this draft class, he obviously was in last year's draft class. I don't think he'd be a first-round pick, but how is there such a huge gap between him and the guys that could be available there at 6 in your mind?
Well, there's a big gap between.
Are they making a big mistake if they don't take one of these quarterbacks if they're there?
I mean, to answer your first question, there's a big gap between Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts. I think that he's just more polished and he's, has a tremendous upside. And from a mechanical standpoint, he's well advanced, well past where Jalen Hurts is currently. But other than that, I like the upside of a Trey Lance. Don't know. He strikes me as more of a project and not necessarily ready to be plug and play. And again, that's you're kind of gambling there with the 6th overall pick. Zach Wilson. I mean, I have mixed opinions on what I think he can be. I mean, I don't necessarily know if he's pro ready yet, and I'm not necessarily sure what his upside ultimately is. But Justin Fields is the one quarterback that, if I'm the Eagles, if you're considering any of them, he would be the guy. But I mean, you'll have that opportunity next year if you determine that Jalen Hurts isn't the guy to lead your franchise. And I think right now, the smart move, the responsible move, is to start adding pieces, because you really need to start building this roster if you want to, because it's going to be a multi-year rebuild. So, I mean, you got to start adding pieces elsewhere.
So if Fields was there, let's say he somehow fell to 6, and Chase, Pitts, Sewell, which guy you take out of that crew?
I mean, if you're going by the best player available, it would be Penei Sewell. If in that scenario, I have a hard time believing that he's the 6th, that he's below the Eagles don't have a top 6 grade on him. I mean, by all accounts, he's a top 3 player in this class. So I think if he's available at 6, that's a no-brainer. But outside of that, I would probably say Jamar Chase.
Okay. Well, you and I disagree on that. So I'm not saying he stinks. I'm just not taking a lineman in this draft, not in the first round. That's all. You obviously think that they would. No, do you think they would do that?
Yes, and the reason being is that there's so many uncertainties on that offensive line. You have a lot of older players that are coming off injuries.
Yeah.
You have Andre Dillard, he's a big question mark. You have Jordan Mailata, who showed a lot of promise, in his 10 starts, and that's great. that again, you have a lot of uncertainty surrounding that.
Let me ask you this, Andrew. Roseman takes a lot of bullets, right? He gets killed. Don't you think he would like to be the guy that says, well, I found Jordan Mailata. He's a 10-year starter.
Oh, yeah, of course. But, I mean, you have to have more than that. You have to have a plan B because obviously you see all the injuries and how that kind of morphed the offensive line. It was in constant flux all season long.
Yeah.
You have to start building pieces. And if a player like that, who I consider to be a top 3 player in this draft, and I think most do, if he falls to 6, that to me is a no-brainer. I mean, otherwise you go in saying, oh, Lane's going to be good. He's coming off injury. Brandon Brooks will be fine. He'll make it through the season. And then I think that's just, that would be malpractice on their part. They've made that mistake with other positions such as wide receiver, and it kind of backfired.
The hard part,
don't have a plan B.
The hard part I have with that, and I agree with what you're saying. I mean, what your premise is, the line's a little older. Brooks is injured. We'll get to him in a second because there's some reports they might try to trade him. He's got a 4-year deal. Lane Johnson still has time on the contract. So you're hoping you don't have to replace these guys. Now, like you said, they have been injured. The problem is they don't play the same position. So am I going to move Penei Sewell, or am I going to move? We know Dillard can't play anywhere else. We've tried that before. Okay, maybe Mailata can go play right tackle. But if I'm drafting a left tackle at number 6, doesn't he have to play? And that essentially means I have a former first-round pick and a guy who started and played well for me the year before sitting on my bench.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mailata can play right tackle. Dillard is a top backup to me. I don't necessarily know that he has starting upside. I mean, obviously this summer will determine a lot. Hopefully we have a preseason to make that determination. But but from what we've seen so far in Andre Dillard, I don't know that he has a starter's upside. But then, I mean, at left tackle, Penei Sewell is superior than the players that the Eagles currently have.
No doubt. I'm not arguing that.
Making an improvement in an area that they really could stand to use, to really could fortify. I think that would be a no-brainer there. No matter who you have back at quarterback, you're going to have that blind side protector, future All-Pro for the next 10 to 12 years.
Yeah. Definitely not disagreeing with you on that point. I think Sewell's a better talent than the 2 guys that you have. I want to ask your opinion about Zach Ertz and what you think. Mike Silver reported multiple teams have called the Eagles about the possibility of trading for Ertz. I have a hard time thinking they're going to be able to get what they want in a trade. There is some scuttlebutt that he would rather be released because he wants to pick the team he wants to go to. But if they were to trade him, what kind of value do you anticipate they could legitimately get back in return?
Oh, man. I mean, I've been asked this a lot the last couple of days. I don't think that they would get much more than a 4th-round pick.
Yeah, agree with you there. At that point,
based on age, position, upside. I think that all these things are factored in when you're looking at a player like Zach Ertz, who has had a tremendous career. But this is a production-based business, and when you look at what the season that he just had, and the number of tight ends that are out there, you look at a guy like Darren Waller who slipped through the cracks. These type of guys are everywhere, and even an undrafted free agents are some good finds. So I mean, Zach Ertz is still a top. I would say probably a top 7, top 6 tight end in this league. So I mean, but that said, you look at the age, you look at the production from last year. You're not going to get much more than a 4th-round pick for him.
Now, let me ask you this. Because you don't have a 4th-round pick, are you willing to just say, you know what, I need to get a 4th-round pick? That's what I'll do.
Yeah, because the other option is you release him and you get nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, so I would definitely take what you can get and consider that, a solid trade. You can get it. If you can yield a 4th-round pick for Zach Ertz, given everything that goes along with it, he's not a very desirable trade target at this particular moment.
Right. Agree with you there. Andrew DiCecco, Football 4, a couple other things. Brandon Brooks, would you be on board with trading Brandon Brooks? There's some reports that there have taken calls. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the Eagles are, blowing up other teams' phones, but I don't know. I guess I have a vision that if you have Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks back healthy with Kelsey, Sayamala, and then whoever plays left tackle, that you have a pretty darn good offensive line for your young quarterback. So I am not a big fan of moving Brooks if I don't have to.
No, that wouldn't make much sense to me either. I mean, you need to whatever quarterback is back there for the Eagles next year, give him a chance. Give him a chance to be productive. I mean, Nate Herbig's a nice player, more of a rotational lineman that steps in when needed. He's not a guy you obviously want starting all those games. So, I mean, Brandon Brooks he was still playing at a high level before he got hurt. There's a tremendous injury history there. But, I mean, you're not going to get much for him in the trade market. It makes much more sense to keep him on the roster and just kind of surround the quarterbacks, surround the offense with as much talent as possible in order for them to be successful.
Yeah, I know that, and I'm imagining teams are saying, look, you have cap problems. Do you want to make a move here? I would hold off on that as long as I can if I'm Howie Roseman there. I do want to, touch on the draft a little bit here. Do you, obviously everybody's talking about Pitts. And today Daniel Jeremiah said if he could pick out one Hall of Famer in this class, Pitts would be the guy. Is he just like the hot name right now, or would you legitimately say no? This guy is going to be what they're saying. I mean, we had Adam on Friday. He didn't call him a tight end. He called him an offensive weapon. So does that make you feel like if he's there at 6 and the other guys are gone, Sewell's gone, and you're not taking a quarterback, that he has now maybe jumped ahead of your wide receiving crew?
I think that's fair. He's a weapon, and when you look at the evolution of the tight end position, guys like Travis Kelce and George Kittle, they're much more than tight ends, and you see how they can kind of completely change the identity of an offense because teams have to account for them wherever they may be lined up. And like a Jamar Chase, who's going to be split out wide and everything like that, and he can move into the slot. Kyle Pitts can do all of that, and he has the size, runs the routes like a wide receiver. He can create all these different mismatches, and pairing him with Dallas Goedert, my gosh, you have two top potential top 10 tight ends on one offense, and Kyle Pitts can even play out wide, just like Goddard can. I mean, that just completely changes the entire dimension of the offense.
Yeah, that's the part. Is you just mentioned you could use him out wide, use Goddard in the slot, use Goddard as a traditional tight end with him in the slot. I love the idea of putting those two together. And then, of course, what Chase adds to this team, if they're both there. Now, somebody brought up an interesting conversation the other day is if you can move down to 8, how many quarterbacks do you think go in the top 10?
In the top 10, I would say probably 4.
So you're going 4. Do you think they all go before 8?
No, I think Trey Lance might go closer to the top to 9 or 10.
Okay, so yeah, the point that was brought up by a listener was if 4 quarterbacks go and Sewell goes in the top 5, that if you move back to 8, then you would end up with either Pitts, Chase, or Smith or Waddle, one of those guys. You would get one of the skill position players. So that would be making.
That's what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah. That would make moving back to 8 very attractive.
That's exactly what I would do. I would move down 2 spots. I think you and I talked about this last week. I said, if you wanted to get Kyle Pitts, I think that the furthest back that you could afford to move is 8. I think 9 would be a little risky, but I think 8 is kind of that sweet spot. And there's going to be other options there because the way that the draft board I anticipated shaking out, you're going to have your pick from Waddle, Chase, Pitts, and that's a great spot to be in if you're the Eagles, and you get to add another asset. So,
all right, last one. I love talking draft. 50 days away. If you take an offensive player in round 1, would you be on board with defense in the 2 third-round picks and the 2 5-round picks, basically going defense, 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 defense?
Yeah, because you need a defensive line, you need a defensive end, you need a linebacker, you need a corner, a safety. That to me, I mean, the offense. If you add
2 safeties,
You really need two safeties. You're going to get a veteran, probably low-cost veteran in free agency, but it's really going to be like of the Andrew Sendejo mold, nothing really of note. I don't think. But I think there's more holes, and it's an older defense, whereas on the offense, there are some pieces there. The offensive line is sustainable for this season. And if you add a piece like a Chase or a Pitts, I think that will kind of suffice in that area. You're not going to be able to address all the needs in one offseason, obviously, but I certainly think that you need to get younger on defense because guys like Brandon Graham aren't going to be here forever. Fletcher Cox, a lot of uncertain futures past beyond this season.
Yeah.
So I think that you need to start adding into the trenches there. They're getting a little bit older at defensive tackle. Obviously, Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson, and Javon Hargrave, it was their big signing last year. But I mean, you do need to get younger there and kind of start to revamp that area because before you're going to have to start over.
Yeah, it's funny
in that position.
Yeah, Andrew, if you look at the roster and you start to look at the defense, you start to realize like they've had Malcolm Jenkins playing safety there. Last year, you had Rodney McLeod. You had two safeties, man, in that position since 2013. You had very good talent there. Next year, you could be in a spot at safety where you don't recognize either guy playing safety. So that Slay on one side, you have no idea who's going to be playing the other side right now. You mentioned the defensive end spot. You've got Graham and
it's a big weakness.
Yes,
that's a big weakness that has kind of gone under the radar because everyone's been focusing on wide receiver and getting offensive talent. But I mean, the pass rushers outside of Josh Sweat, you really don't have a young. I mean, Derek Barnett's a big question mark. He's a very polarizing player. You don't know how he figures into the long-term plans, but I do know that Josh Sweat is a good rotational end, a third end. I don't know if he's somebody that you want assuming all these different snaps, but you need to add a guy. That's why I said if they traded down, top 10 or 12, a guy like Kwity Paye from Michigan would be a nice pick there as an edge rusher, replacing another Michigan edge rusher. So, I mean, it's going to have to get addressed sooner or later.
It sure is. So much on the defensive side that we will focus in on. 50 days to the draft. Andrew DiCecco at DiCecco NFL. Follow him on Twitter as the Eagles offseason continues. Free agency begins. By the way, what'd you think of the Dak deal?
I think that's a lot of money. I think he definitely he definitely came away like a bandit there.
$75 million he'll get paid. He has one playoff win. I'm not knocking Dak, but doesn't have a big track record of success, and the Cowboy fans are already lining up to make excuses. All right, Andrew, appreciate it, man.
You got it, man. Take care.
Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It drops on Monday and Thursday at 6 a.m., and he, like August, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. Football at 4 on the Sports Bash is brought to you by Dr. Lyle M. Back. For everything from skincare to cosmetic surgery, go to ilovelyle.back.com. or call 856-MAKEOVER. Dr. Lyle and Back, proud sponsor of Football at 4. And don't forget my guys over at Prop Swap. Now, let me give you a Prop Swap story for you real quick, okay? Loyola Chicago. This team is probably going to go to the Elite Eight. Get in on them now. Buy that ticket. Head up to the sports book. Buy the ticket. Once they get through the first 2 rounds, post that ticket at Prop Swap. You'll have the best odds in the country because those odds are going to go from where they are now. Once they get into the 8, boop, those odds are going to soar down. People are going to want to buy your ticket, especially the people that live in Chicago because they're going to be all over that thing. That's what Prop Swap can do for you. Find a couple teams in the NCAA tournament that you like that have nice long shot odds because guess what? Everybody's betting Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan. Find those other 5 teams that are going to make it to the Elite 8. Buy those tickets and then sell them at PropSwap.com. That's how it works. All right, I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. Jay Koch, I take Pitts, then all defense in a center. I can sign off on that. Pitts at 6, defense in round 2, defense with my 2 picks in round 3, defense with my 2 picks in round 5, defense with my pick 6, and then I'll draft a center with the 7th pick. Jay, we're on the same page. I'll read off some more of your texts, read off some more of your comments. Plus, when I come back, I just mentioned Dak Prescott. Why that is an example, the Wentz deal and the Prescott deal. Very interesting dynamics here. Coming up next.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin on 97.3 ESPN.
And this is just me. You can go get one of these quarterback experts that'll tell you different. These quarterbacks that's coming out in the draft, who's better than Jalen Hurts? In all honesty, who's better than Jalen Hurts and these guys coming out in this year's draft?
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. Weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Today just got a little more exciting because you have the chance to win $155 million with Powerball. Talk about a way to really shake things up. So keep it interesting and take your shot because anything can happen in Jersey.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
The all-new Matt Blatt Nissan is receiving a special allocation of new Nissans, and we need your trade. So get out of that old car, truck, or SUV and into a brand new 2021 Nissan Murano. $5,000 off MSRP, plus 0 down and 0% APR financing for 60 months on new in-stock Nissan Sentras and Altimas. Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township next to Home Depot wants to approve your credit today so you can drive a new Nissan with 0 down payment and 0% APR financing. Plus our fast track checkout online at mattblattnissan.com. So bring any trade to Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township or at mattblattnissan.com. On approved credit, negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. All factory rebates and incentives to dealer. Not all will qualify. 0% APR financing based on $13.33 per $1,000 borrowed. Murano 8 to choose. Offers can't be combined. Call 888-731-5030 for all the details. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
That meeting's starting at 4. Can I get those projections?
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
Karen, do these numbers look right to you?
Like at Mia's research firm. To hit client deadlines, she needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey guys, are you afraid of taking off your shirt in public? Don't be embarrassed. Just say, I love Lyle back instead with male breast reduction. Many men develop a fullness in their chest as boys that persists and even worsens as they get older. This condition is called gynecomastia, and with simple liposuction, most cases can be effectively treated. Call 856-MAKEOVER today to schedule your private consultation with Dr. Lyle M. Back. That's 856-MAKEOVER or visit ilovelyle.back.com.
Did you know just the simple act of dressing for work can make you more productive? According to a recent study by the Wall Street Journal, getting dressed for work each morning can even improve your performance. Untucked shirts are the easy way to look sharp instantly, and they're designed to be worn untucked so you'll stay comfortable all day long. So for your next Zoom call, lose the t-shirt and grab an untucked shirt instead. It'll also be your go-to when we start returning to all the things we've been missing. Try one today at any Untucked store or at untucked.com. Untucked shirts, designed to be worn untucked.
East Coast Roofing and Siding, protecting what you love and own. East Coast Roofing and Siding, trust us with your family and home.
Hi, I'm Larry Styler. And I'm Sean Styler. We'd like to remind you that East Coast Roofing, Siding, and Windows is a professional business open year-round and has been serving South Jersey since 1979. It seems, however, that many of you feel sorry for us in the cold and hold off calling until spring, along with everyone else. The truth is, we and our families eat as much in the winter as we do in the summer. So call us now while prices and wait times are at their lowest and learn how great financing plans can help you. And please don't feel bad. We have Long Johns and we'll wear them. So call 646-1444 or visit us online at eastcoastroofing.com. If you'll call, we'll show up.
East Coast Roofing and Siding, trust us with your family and home.
So you think you have unlimited data?
Recalculating.
Think again. If you have unlimited data on a network you can't trust, your data is limited, and so are you. Set your smartphone free with the unlimited plans from Total Wireless. Get 4 lines with unlimited data on the nation's best network now with 5G, with 100 gigabytes at high speed, then 2G for just $25 a month per line.
You have arrived at your destination.
Get unlimited and save. Total Wireless. Do amazing. Available at Best Buy. See terms and conditions at TotalWireless.com.
You can watch the Sports Bash live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Search 97.3 ESPN or visit our website, 97.3ESPN.com.
All right, we're back live inside the Matt Black Kia studios. This is the Sports Bash this hour brought to you by PropSwap.com. Download the PropSwap app. Go to PropSwap.com right now. And, of course, we told you the tournament. Coming up on Thursday and Friday, we'll have conference tournament right here on 97.3 ESPN. I'll be out tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. Josh will have you tomorrow. And Thursday and Friday, we'll have some hoops. We'll have some partial shows. I'll be back on Monday. And then the NCAA tournament will be here. We'll have some news on the tournament coming up for you here on 97.3 ESPN. 609-403-0973. Somebody asked me about Penei Sewell in the draft. That he says, I know you said Pitts is a Hall of Fame pick in this draft, but most people were saying that about Sewell earlier in the process. That doesn't mean that Sewell doesn't have that ability. The thing that I said was Daniel Jeremiah, who had a conference call today, he was asked if only one player in the draft made the Hall of Fame. That doesn't mean that others couldn't, but that if you were betting on one of them to do it, then who would it be? And he said Kyle Pitts. So that doesn't mean that Penei Sewell isn't maybe the second guy or the next guy. I do want to bring this up. So I was having this guy. There's a guy in the building here, huge Cowboys fan. One of my friends is a Cowboys fan, so I'm surrounded by these Cowboys fans. So I have to have a level head sometimes. By the way, the Eagles just made a couple of moves. They released Blake Countess and Trayvon Hester. That saved them about $2 million, a little under $2 million in the cap. When you combine that number with the projected savings of Kelsey and Slay's restructure, that brings the Eagles within $24 million of the projected cap. They had to be at that cap by the 17th. So they still need to get $24 million shaved off that number by next Wednesday. See how they do it. I mean, they're going to figure it out. They don't have a choice. They have to figure it out. But they need about $24 million still shaved off that. What? Wednesday, 4 o'clock is the day and the time. They have to be cap compliant by Wednesday at 4. What if you're not? What happens? What happens in the case that you're not cap compliant? Like, I just could not figure out a way to do it. You pay the tax, right? You get crushed. So, essentially, by this time, this roster is going to look a heck of a lot different. There's going to be guys that are not here, maybe a big name, maybe some restructures. I guess you're going to hear a restructure from Brandon Graham, I would imagine. Lane Johnson, I would imagine. Maybe Fletcher Cox, possibly. Well, they already did Slay, and they already did Kelsey. So I don't know how many more guys are left out of the group I just mentioned. They would be the guys that are making enough money that they could restructure to help. I mean, you're really kicking the can down the road if you do Brandon Brooks. He's already getting paid for 4 more years. But I guess he would be one other guy that you could throw in that mix. You don't really have anybody else. I mean, Fletcher, Graham, Barnett's deal is going to get changed up. Barnett will either get cut, that's a possibility, or he'll have to restructure that deal. He ain't making $10 million next year, nor does he deserve it, by the way. But that's neither here nor there. But I want to get into so the one guy, a buddy of mine works here. He's a Cowboy fan. Another buddy of mine is a Cowboys fan. Now, the one Cowboys fan is logical. The other one's very illogical, very irrational. 2 Cowboys fans, very different people. One has a level head. The other one, not so much. But this Dak Prescott deal, it's an interesting example of there is no right way to do things, right? There's no right or wrong way to do things. The Eagles went about business their way. They jumped ahead of the game to avoid what just happened to the Cowboys. Now, it might work out for the Cowboys. So far, Dak Prescott has 1 playoff victory, I believe. right? This doesn't mean he stinks. I'm not here to rip Dak Prescott. I like Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott can play. A couple of years ago, I think going back to 2018, I said I'd take Prescott over Wentz. And that doesn't mean I don't like Wentz. I'm just saying, or I didn't like Wentz. Just the fact of the matter was I thought Prescott became the better player. Dak Prescott has one playoff win in his career. One. He just got paid $75 million to play next year. Good for him. I'm not ripping him. He won the deal. He took the Cowboys and absolutely took them behind the woodshed and absolutely beat their brains in. I mean, the Cowboys just got taken to school. Absolutely. He gets $126 million guaranteed and a no trade clause. He got 4 years, $160 million. This is a guy who has won one playoff game. But my point is this. This isn't about his accolades or lack thereof. Okay? This isn't about how he's averaging, by the way, the first 3 years of that deal, $42 million. And here's the biggest number for Dak Prescott. From 2017 to 2012, he is 7-18 against teams with winning records. He has 37 touchdowns and 36 turnovers in those games. Essentially a below average player against good teams. And again, I'm not here to blast Dak Prescott, but this is the Eagles jumped out in front and gave Wentz a contract before it got to this point. Because if Wentz it backfired on them because Wentz did not play well enough to get this kind of contract. But what happened was the Cowboys, instead of jumping ahead and saying, hey, Dak, man, you've really outplayed. See, this is where they drafted Prescott in the 4th round and got him undervalued for so long. And then they had to actually pay him. They didn't want to pay him. They didn't want to do what the Eagles did. They didn't want to jump out in front and pay him before they had to. And now they got stuck overpaying him. I mean, Dak Prescott got overpaid. Let's be honest. This doesn't mean he stinks. This doesn't mean he's not good. He got overpaid. There's no question about it. He has one playoff win. You can't justify paying a guy that has one playoff win $75 million next year. But that's the going rate. Why? Because you didn't jump out when the Eagles did. Look, the Eagles got crushed in that deal, not salary-wise. It was the fact that they built in all these basically ways to protect. Wentz had the protection that if this happened, that if he got cut, that the Eagles were going to have to get a major penalty for it. That's what ended up happening. The Eagles never felt that Wentz was going to be so bad that they would have to get rid of him. In other words, just cut him. So they built in all these things that if they just had to get rid of him, that the team would have to take a major penalty. What they gave up on the other side was they weren't paying Wentz like an exorbitant amount of money. You know, by the time that deal really kicked in, Carson Wentz is going to be in the middle of the pack or lower end of the pack of starting quarterbacks getting paid. Dak Prescott is going to make $42 million. I mean, I would venture to say, look, Dak had a great start of the year last year. He was tremendous. Now, he had to be tremendous. They were so bad last year that he had to be tremendous. I mean, every game they had to. And give him credit. He played really well. 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. In 5 games, he had 1,800 yards, which is phenomenal. The yards that he put up was just tremendous. Now, that being said, he was playing really well, and the team was still 2-3. So I believe that they probably would have won the division had they had Prescott. This isn't like a knock on him at all. Again, I like Prescott. I'm not knocking Prescott. He has one playoff win. One. And those numbers that we just threw out at you, has not played very well against good teams. 7-18 versus winning teams, 37 touchdowns, 30 turnovers. Is he good? Absolutely. But it shows you there's no right. Like the Eagles didn't mess up by giving Wentz the deal, and the Cowboys didn't mess up here. They both basically look bad. I mean, the Cowboys got crushed in this deal. Prescott buried them. I mean, think about this. You drafted a guy in the 4th round. He's played really well. Now you're paying him $42 million a year. By the way, he's coming off a gruesome injury. So, Dan from EHT, I have friends that are Cowboys fans, and they are some strange people. They are some strange people there, Dan. I agree with you. Some of them are very nice. I wouldn't say they're mean people. I would just say they are squirrely, a little squirrely, some of them. Prescott gets $126 million. And here's the thing. He played last season on the franchise tag, but the amount of money that they now they don't have the cap problem, so it's not really catching up to them right now. And they're going to spread this thing out. He's getting $66 million as a signing bonus, so that thing will get spread out. He's right in the middle of the prime of his career. This is exactly what happened with the Eagles. They signed Wentz so that when he was in the prime of his career, that they were going to be paying him under market value. That was the plan, right? That was the plan. That we would sign Wentz in the prime before he got to his prime, so that by the time he starts hitting his prime, the salary's not the problem with Wentz. That was not the problem. What you were paying him salary-wise, the Colts got to steal. If he comes back and plays well, the Colts got to steal salary-wise. It's the dead money hit that was built in to protect Wentz from getting cut. That was the whole story. Wentz's deal was built so that if they cut him, the Eagles would have to take massive penalties. And, of course, the Eagles never in their wildest dreams thought they would have to do that. 609-403-0973. Text board's open. 609-403-0973. I'll read off more texts coming up. Tuesday with Thompson. John Clayton's going to join us. I want to get John Clayton's thoughts on how the Cowboys played this deal coming up at 5:25 tonight. Sports Bash is brought to you by Copiers Plus, providing quality products and services to South Jersey businesses since 1986. Services their specialty. Online, copiersplus.com. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, this hour of the show. It is brought to you by PropSwap, America's sports betting marketplace. Sell your sports bets and take your profit. Find out how. PropSwap.com or download the PropSwap app today. I'm telling you. You will start, it's like a rabbit hole. You get on that PropSwap and you just start finding tickets and you're like, I like that one, I like that one. But what I really implore you to do is take advantage of the opportunity to make money on it by selling your tickets at PropSwap.com. If you're someone who goes to the casinos, gets a ticket in the brick and mortar sports books, you can buy those tickets and post those tickets at one spot, PropSwap.com. I'm back with more coming up.
Turn it on. Leave it on. The Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Broadleaf's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning makes it easy to upgrade to the most energy-efficient equipment. And for a limited time, Broadleaf's is giving you a free furnace with the purchase of a high-efficiency AC system. 0% financing and rebates from the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities and its clean energy program mean even greater savings. Don't miss out on Broadleaf's free furnace frenzy. Certain restrictions apply. Call Broadleaf's at 609-390-3907 or visit broadleafs.net, your trusted source for 3 generations.
Making popcorn for movie night? Whoa, who are you? This is your wake-up call from TracFone Wireless. What if every time you tried a new streaming service, you had to buy a new TV?
That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, some wireless companies do that when you switch. Make you buy a new phone.
Right.
But TracFone Wireless lets you keep your phone and your number and your network and gives you unlimited talk and text starting at $20 a month.
Seriously, who are you?
This is your wake-up call, people. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. Oh, you're burning it.
Oh, no.
See terms and conditions at TracFone.com.
Cleanliness and safety are essential to the success of any business. That's why Cintas has introduced our Total Clean program, a one-of-a-kind service that includes scheduled deliveries of essential cleaning supplies, hygienically cleaned uniforms, and on-site sanitizer and disinfectant services to help eliminate germs. Learn what the Cintas Total Clean program can do for you.
Oh, I'm ready.
Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
When you want experience, go for the best. Pick up the phone and call Dennisville Fence.
Right now, Dennisville Fence is installing your neighbor's new fence. Right now, another neighbor is signing up for their new fence job. Right now is the best time to get started on your new fence or railing project, because right now, the pandemic is causing major supply chain delays. What used to take days can now take weeks or months. So the earlier you start on your new fence or railing project, the more likely you'll finish your project on time, and the sooner you'll enjoy more privacy, safety, security, and style. Don't delay your new fence or railing project. Get started today. Dennisville Fence is open, and we are now scheduling new estimates for spring installations and also offering material sales for DIY and new construction projects.
Go with experience, go for the best. Pick up the phone and call Dennisville Fence. 1-800-499-FENCE. Visit DennisvilleFence.com.
Is finding the clothes that you love in just the right fit and size an overwhelming task? Experience a new way to shop with Stitch Fix. Our experts hand-select pieces so you can get the ease of personal styling from the convenience of home. Every piece is curated just for you, for staying home or on the go in your unique style. With Stitch Fix, there's never any subscription required, and it's delivered right to your door. Get started today at StitchFix.com. Stitch Fix, your style delivered.
Switch to T-Mobile for Business and get up to 90 days of service free via virtual rebate on your business plan. You get a great deal, the largest 5G network, and first-class benefits like Microsoft 365 on us. It's better for business and only with T-Mobile for Business. Limited time offer. Stop in-store for details. Plus taxes and fees for some plans. Virtual Express MasterCard within 8 weeks of receipt of valid submission. Complete port within 60 days. See T-Mobile.com for 5G devices, coverage, and plan details.
What you doing? Designing my new 2021 Nissan Kicks Online in the Kicks Color Studio. I give each a special name. This one's electric blue, orange, red, white. I call it the gumball machine. You think it's me? I feel like you're more of a red velvet guy.
Limitless possibilities. With over 100 million available color combinations and Bose Personal Plus system in the boldly new 2021 Nissan Kicks. Bose is a registered trademark of the Bose Corporation. Color combinations include interior and exterior colors. Customization is an available feature subject to availability at participating Nissan dealers. See dealer for details.
It's crunchy!
Creamy!
Sweet.
Salty. Nature Valley sweet and salty peanut bars, bursting with crunchy peanuts, dipped in creamy nut butter coating.
Delicious.
Nature Valley.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, Sports Bash 447. I'm Mike Gill. At Mike Gill Show on Twitter. 609-403-0973. John from Cape May says, I'm still not sold on Prescott. Take all those weapons away and put him behind the Eagles O-line with no weapons, and let's see the outcome. I will say that's not really fair because the Cowboys' offensive line last year was really beat up, and he still played really well. Now, they had a lot of weapons, but the offensive line in Dallas last year was a mess. He also says, and for that matter, any other quarterback, we're going to regret this Wentz situation, period. Well, yeah, I think we are. And that's what happens. Wentz, to me, this is one of those stories of he just wasn't cut out for his environment. I'm a big proponent of you're a product of your environment. Yeah, there are outliers. You know, you have that random guy who grows up in small town America and makes it big. Doesn't happen all that much. You ever go to like Wikipedia and look for like famous people from certain towns? There's a reason why, you know, some little town in the middle of nowhere has very few famous people out there. You're a product of your environment. If you live in a place where everybody's much like you, you're going to act like a lot of these people. Very few times you get that one guy that breaks free and ends up being his own kind of guy. I think Carson Wentz is a product of his environment. And he got into this environment, and it's nothing like the environment that he grew up in. Some people can adjust to it. Some people can't. Doesn't make him a bad guy. This just wasn't the right situation for him. And you might say, well, it was for a little while. Something had to have happened. Yeah, you know what? Carson Wentz is pretty good. He's talented enough that he could overcome that. The problem was, this team broke down with injuries. I think this team, people talk about, this is a dumpster fire. This has turned into a disaster. I think a lot of it's a very overblown, to be honest with you. I think there are a few minor things. I just don't think Carson Wentz was the right fit for this place almost from the get-go. But he was so successful and so good that, you can kind of hide that for a while. I mean, it's not like Carson Wentz, if you see where he lived, if you go to our website, 973ESPN.com, you could check out his estate that's for sale right now out in Salem County. Nothing against Salem County, but it's not the most densely populated place in New Jersey, the most densely populated state in the country. There's not too many people that live in Salem County. There's a reason why Carson Wentz said, you know what, let me go out to Salem County so nobody can find me. He wanted to try to find something that made him feel like he was at home in North Dakota. So, where a lot of people, when they move here, where do they move? They move to the suburbs of Philadelphia or to the Jersey side. All those guys moved, they live in Cherry Hill, they live in Voorhees, they live in Morristown. They jump over to the Philly side of the bridge so they can get away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Wentz took it a step further. It's not easy to get to Salem County. That's out there. That's a place that you got to definitively say, I want to go find a place in this area. I've been to Salem County plenty. It's a great place. Very quiet. I like it. But so did Wentz, because Wentz didn't want to be. I mean, you could go and say, hey, I want to live in Manayunk, or I want to live in Society Hill, or I want to live, on the main line, or I want to live in, somewhere out in the Northeast. You know what you're going to get there? A lot of traffic, a lot of people coming up to you. You could go and be a little quieter and say, I want to go to the Jersey side. You're still, many people live in Cherry Hill, Voorhees, Morristown, Haddonfield. It's crowded up there. You want to be not bothered? You go to Salem County, and you're not going to find too many people. That's a perfect spot for him. But it's also a pretty good indication of who Carson Wentz is, a guy who just wanted his privacy. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the guy's text message, we're going to regret this. I think we're going to, because I think Carson's a great talent. I think he's a tremendous talent. We saw how good of a talent he was. The problem was he was very stubborn. I don't want to be like, this is all Carson's fault. But I think he could have handled this better. But quite frankly, I think you get to a point in your life where maybe he didn't want to. You just get to that point where you're like, you know what? This isn't for me anymore. I thought it was for me. I tried it. I tried to do the best I could, and it's just not for me. It doesn't happen because the team had a lot of success. I know we don't want to believe that, but Carson Wentz would have probably been the MVP of the league. They won a Super Bowl. They went back to the playoffs on the back of Carson Wentz in 2019. They went to the playoffs in 2018. And Wentz was good. He wasn't great. Foles ends up getting them to the playoffs again that year. So he's got all that to kind of deal with. He doesn't win the Super Bowl. Foles does. He doesn't make it to the playoffs the next year. Foles did. Then he gets them to the playoffs in 19, and then he has a disastrous 20. And I think all of those things just build up to, like, let's just say, for instance, they didn't make the playoffs in 2019. The Eagles made the playoffs 3 straight years. I know that we think Howie Roseman's so abysmal that that's impossible, but they're probably one of the few teams in football that made the playoffs 3 straight years. I would imagine them, the Patriots. I'll probably throw the Saints in there. I don't know. Maybe a handful of teams made it 3 straight years. It's not easy to do, to make the playoffs in the NFL for 3 straight seasons. Doesn't happen all that often. The Eagles did it. and they ran into a rough patch. I think a lot of the rough patch comes from the fact that the injuries were just insurmountable, coupled with the fact that you had a guy who I just don't know that Wentz loved being here. I just don't know that Wentz, in his heart of hearts, said, Philadelphia is the best place for me. And, for a couple of years, things were going good, so it was all right. But in reality, I just don't think he loved it here. So that's the answer to that guy's question. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And watch the show live at 97.3ESPN.com. On the other side, Pete Thompson will join me on the live video stream. You can join us by watching the show at 97.3ESPN.com. And, of course, download the free mobile app. The free mobile app. The reason is Trout Country, his buddy. Trout lives in Cumberland County, actually, right? Millville's in Cumberland County. They're close, but Salem's even further out there. Salem's out there, man. Very beautiful. Way out there. You can check out pictures of Wentz's mansion. Go to our website, 97.3ESPN.com.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
They scored!
The Flyers host the Buffalo Sabres tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN and listen live on the free mobile app.
On some models excludes Corvette with GMF financing, excludes prior sales. See dealer for details.
If you've been waiting for the best deal you can find on a brand new Chevy, then your wait has paid off big time. Right now, during Bennett Chevy's March Markdown event, you can save up to 25% off many of our most popular models. That's right. With Bennett Chevy's famous GM supplier employee pricing, plus you keeping all the rebates, that's up to a whopping 25% off MSRP. Plus, for a limited time, there's 0% financing available on our hottest Chevy models. Got an old beater? Get it to Bennett for an unbeatable $7,000 minimum towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. That's at least $7,000. Imagine what we'll pay for a good trade. And our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So buying at Bennett's always a pleasure with no need to negotiate, plus there's never any sales pressure. Get to Bennett Chevy during our March Markdown event and find new roads. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
A walk and some ice cream with someone sounds like the perfect treat.
Making pizza with someone who's as into it as me? What could be better?
Ready to meet people who love to do the same things you do? It's easy. 1, open laptop. 2, go to OurTime.com. 3, start for free. OurTime is the #1 dating site made for singles over 50. It's easy to use and can help you find people who just want to do something fun. Find someone over 50 who loves to do what you do on OurTime. Go to OurTime.com today and start for free.
If you're struggling with a drug or alcohol addiction, now is the time to take action and get professional help. Call Recovery Centers of America at 1-888-RECOVERY today. You are worthy of recovery from your addiction, and calling RCA will be your first step in getting the help you need. Recovery Centers of America answers the phone and admits patients 24/7. And because safety is a top priority, all patients and staff are routinely tested for COVID-19. RCA's expert team of physicians and medical professionals will treat you with compassion and dignity and provide an evidence-based treatment plan that is custom-tailored to your specific needs. Recovery Centers of America at Devon and Lighthouse are local and in-network with insurance providers, so their best-in-class inpatient and outpatient care, offered both in-person and via teletherapy, is affordable and accessible. Make this the year you conquer your addiction. Call today, 1-888-RECOVERY. That's 1-888-RECOVERY.
Good morning, privates! Good morning, Drill Sergeant! I mean, seriously, what a pleasant morning. The sun is shining and the birds are chirping. You seem to be in a good mood today. Astute observation.
He's probably happy because he found out Honey Nut Cheerios can help lower cholesterol as part of a heart-healthy diet.
They're even shaped like hearts. So, in lieu of the obstacle course today, I propose a nice meditative nature walk. Does that sound delightful to everyone?
Yes, Drill Sergeant!
Happy Heart Shapes are back for a limited time. Learn more about Honey Nut Cheerios by picking up a box at your local store.
Making popcorn for movie night?
Whoa, who are you?
This is your wake-up call from TracFone Wireless. What if every time you tried a new streaming service, you had to buy a new TV?
That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, some wireless companies do that when you switch, make you buy a new phone.
Right.
But TracFone Wireless lets you keep your phone and your number and your network, and gives you unlimited talk and text starting at $20 a month.
Seriously, who are you?
This is your wake-up call, people. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. Oh, you're burning it.
Oh, no.
See terms and conditions at TracFone.com.
Last night's sleep? Interrupted by pain? Tonight, silence it. With new ZQL Night Pain. Restful sleep, now with powerful pain relief. ZQL Night Pain combines America's #1 sleep aid with a maximum strength pain reliever. So you can fall asleep fast and wake feeling rested, because pain should never get in the way of a great night's sleep. New ZQL Night Pain. Silence pain. Sleep soundly. Available at retailers near you.
What you doing? Designing my new 2021 Nissan Kicks online in the Kicks Color Studio. I give each a special name. This one's electric blue, orange, red, white. I call it the gumball machine. You think it's me?
I feel like you're more of a red velvet guy.
Limitless possibilities. With over 100 million available color combinations and Bose Personal Plus system in the boldly new 2021 Nissan Kicks. Bose is a registered trademark of the Bose Corporation. Color combinations include interior and exterior colors. Customization is an available feature subject to availability at participating Nissan dealers. See dealer for details.
The radio home of the 76ers.
Oh, man, get excited.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ-HD, Millville, Atlantic City. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
All right, Sports Best Live 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And don't forget, you can watch the show live at 97.3ESPN.com. It's a Tuesday. Thompson, the PT, is here. It's brought to you by Matt Blatt Nissan. The all-new Matt Blatt Nissan, now open, Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, next to Home Depot, online, mattblattnissan.com. Peter, it's a pleasure to see you on this fine Tuesday, my friend. Peter?
Well, Michael, you want the good news or the bad news?
Well, you
Can
are.
you hear me?
I do hear you. You are not lined up with your mouth is moving, but you are moving at a much slower. Your mouth and your words are not lined up. You look like one of those old like Taekwondo movies. All right, Peter. Thanks for playing today. That was Tuesday with Thompson here on the Sports Bash.
Great. Grand.
There you
Wonderful.
are. Hi, Pete.
Yeah, and you're coming in that way. You're coming in that way on my end, too. The good news and the bad news was this. The good news is that I have a microphone. The bad news is it's not connecting to my computer.
Well, that's user error. We figured that would be the case. I was like, he's like, I got this new microphone, and I figured, all right, this is going to sound good. The only problem I had was I don't think he's really going to figure out how to actually hook it in.
I spent the last 15 minutes trying to work on this thing, and it's $180 worth of crap right now. But yes, blame the loose nut behind the wheel.
Well, you sound fine.
Myself.
You sound fine. All right, so there's so much that we could discuss today for Tuesday with Thompson. One of which is, all right, number one on my list here. By the way, some breaking news for people out there. You ready for breaking news, Pete Thompson?
Yes.
That was a really slow delay. You didn't sound like you're all that excited about the breaking news. All right, the breaking news, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are both out for the next two games. The team has confirmed that Embiid and Simmons will remain out until they receive 2 negative COVID tests. The earliest return for Embiid is Friday. Simmons' second test will be on Saturday, which means they have to quarantine for 7 days, not 5. That's from the Sixers. Embiid can return to activities once he receives a lab-based PCR negative result. I don't know what that means. Simmons can return once he gets a negative result on Saturday. So they will not play on Thursday, Friday. They will hope that those guys are back to play on Sunday.
Well, we knew this was a possibility. That's the way I look at it. We knew that was absolutely a possibility once they weren't able to go at the All-Star game and once they came in COVID contact or contact tracing with the barber, right? And then there was a certain number of negative tests that they had to have before they could be cleared by the NBA. Obviously strict protocols, but yeah, that's a disappointment. That's a huge disappointment as far as I'm concerned.
Right, so we won't have those two guys on Thursday night or Friday when the Sixers return against the Bulls and the Wizards. And then on, of course, Sunday, we will try to see if they come back. All right, Tuesday with Thompson, Pete Thompson here. PT, you're going to have to try to reconnect with me or call me on the phone or something because you are really delayed. And, yeah, do that. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. I do want to read a couple of these messages that we got off here. Jeff Bone and Pookie says, we need DBs and some good linebackers or D-line. I feel like our offense is in better shape than we think. If we can get a good veteran at wide receiver, we can use the guys we already have. See, this is something that I've been saying, though. I agree with you, Jeff. It's the offense is in better shape than we believe and think because the fact of the matter is the offensive line will be better. Their weapons are okay. They're not like they don't have great weapons. But if you remember the year they won the Super Bowl, they didn't have great weapons on that. They had Zach Ertz was the main guy on that team. He was the tight end that was really the big play guy. Alshon was playing at a pretty high level, but he wasn't 1,000-yard. People forget Alshon Jeffrey wasn't 1,000-yard receiver. And then you have on that team, you don't have like this stud running back that really, it was Zach Ertz was really the main guy on that team. So I agree with Jeff. It's that the offense is probably in better shape than we think. All right, Pete Thompson, what say you on that? Jeff is watching the show on YouTube. He says we need defensive backs and some good linebackers. I feel like our offense is in better shape than we think. Do you agree that the offense is in better shape than we're giving it credit for?
I mean, yeah, if you can protect a quarterback and he's not on his rear end every third play, and if Miles Sanders can be used properly, and I think the offense might be slightly better, but that's like you're really trying to polish a you-know-what if you're trying to lean that way. I mean, both sides of the ball had issues last year. So are you going to use that argument to say, well, the offense is slightly better, so go defense? I don't know about that. I mean, the top positions in the draft tend to be defensive, right? When, you don't, let's put it this way. You don't see a D-back or a safety tend to be the number one overall pick in the NFL draft, do you?
Nope. No. And that's the thing. The Eagles at number 6 with what they need help with, to me, is on the defensive side of the ball. That's why I think trading back makes the most sense. But, okay, you just said, oh, well, if you're not getting sacked every third play, actually, I think is what you said. Here's the problem, Pete. People who break down the film of this would say those sacks were coming because of Carson Wentz. Like, he was taking sacks because he was holding on to the ball, that the offensive line actually wasn't as bad. When you look at, they gave up 50-plus sacks last year. Well, yeah, the quarterback held on to the ball for 5 seconds for most of those sacks, and that's why. So if you're getting sacked every third play, yeah, if your quarterback's not going to throw the ball, that's what's going to happen.
Right, and I definitely think Carson deserves some of the blame. I think the flux of the line deserves a lot of the blame, too. They were injured and banged up, and so I think you could put the blame in several places. But if that's the case, then with Jalen Hurts what you have a 3+ game sample size, technically like 4 games for Jalen Hurts, you really don't have a lot of sample size. And if Jeffrey Lurie's words are true, and I'm sure we'll talk about that too, that gives me a little bit of pause that Jeffrey Lurie is starting to become more and more meddlesome into the Eagles' affairs. He's the owner. I get it. He writes the checks. But if that's the case and you're trying to keep the guy upright, I don't know that me or the fan base would be excited about drafting a lineman at 6 or even 8. I don't think that's going to light anybody's world on fire. So give him a skill, give him a weapon then. Give him something. Give him Jamar Chase. Give him the tight end Pitts. Give him somebody.
I am against drafting an offensive lineman at 6. And the reason why, Pete, is I think the offensive line is fine. I mean, you get Lane Johnson back, you get Brandon Brooks back, you get Kelsey back, you get Selimalo back, and you have Dillard or Mailata playing left tackle. you all of a sudden go from a line that was very questionable, that had 13 different combinations. Now, a lot of it relies on the health of those players. But if I go to training camp and I go to week 1 and those are my 5 guys, I feel like I probably have one of the top 5 units in the league.
Right. And do you have an actual training camp, not a COVID training camp where everything's done remotely and you're not really doing any work at all? Are there preseason games, right? There certainly weren't any preseason games leading into this one. And how did that work out? It's funny how mistaken most football pundits were going into last season. The idea was, well, this is a veteran line, so no training camp isn't going to hurt them. It's a veteran line and a veteran coaching staff, and I think it was anything but. The fact that there was no preseason action at all and there weren't a lot of reps at all, I think was a detriment to the line, or what went out there.
Well, here's what I'll say about that, Pete, and I do agree. But every team had to go through it, number one. But I think the fact of the matter was this. Dillard, the youngest guy out there, he had the labrum tear that knocked him out all season long. You also then had Brooks tear his Achilles before he even stepped onto the field. I mean, just kind of working out, that ends up happening. And then Lane Johnson tries to play. He has this ankle surgery because he gets hurt in the game, I guess, at Lincoln Financial Field, hurts himself in that game, tries to play through it, doesn't play very well. They finally end up shutting him down. And then what ends up happening, this is where it really turned into a disaster, was the replacement started to get hurt. So then Driscoll gets hurt. Driscoll replaces Johnson, then he gets hurt. Pryor comes in, he's got to move. Like, to me, if you only have to use one of those guys, that's okay. If you need to keep switching those guys around almost every single week, no team's going to, be able to handle that. So I guess the point that the listener is making that I kind of agree with is I don't know that the offense is as in bad shape as it feels like.
I would agree with that. And obviously they got rid of some people, or they're getting rid of people that, were expensive and that never made it onto the field. Can you get more production out of some of the guys, some of the young guys, and people that have been scoring too, Jalen Reagor, can you get more production out of the people that are out there? Can Dallas Goedert play better now that he understands that Dallas Goedert is the focal point of that offense? And are you able to get more production out of those guys? Again, I hate to keep going back to the name Miles Sanders, but I don't think the full Miles Sanders we've seen yet, have we? So to me, I think the offense might be slightly above, but that still doesn't give me like I don't think you can have enough weapons, right? And I heard some of you talk in the 4:00 hour about, is there a situation where at 6 that they can move down to 8 and then get a 4th round or get a pick back, or get a couple picks back? To me, that's the challenge of this draft is trying to balance. Do you have to go in the slot you're in, or can you negotiate a way to move a couple slots down and still get the person you want? Now, obviously, you and I have been through this before, Gill. No matter what they do, they're going to say, well, this is exactly what our plan was all along, or this was too good to pass up. But will it actually be effective? That's the question.
Well, the best case scenario in my mind, Pete, is if like a guy like Penei Sewell is on the board at 6, and the Eagles have the same thinking that I do is, look, we have Dillard. We've got Mailbag. Let's let those two battle it out. Let someone else take Sewell. Let's move back. And also still on the board are Chase, Smith, and Pitts. And you move back 3-4 spots and have the choice of one of those guys and are able to add more. That, to me, is their best case scenario.
Yeah, I mean, Penei Sewell obviously would be he appears to be a plug and play. When there's headlines of, is this the NFL's next great left tackle? That gets your attention a little bit. But I don't think that you're not going to get both, right? Like, do you get that guy and then you're able to move down and get another pick out of it? How do the puzzle pieces fit is my ultimate question.
Well,
and where do they need the puzzle pieces the most? I did hear you talk a little bit about if they do go offense with their first pick, then you could load up heavy on the defense in the next 3 or 4.
Yes. The fact of the matter is this. I said this. If I draft an offensive player in the first round, my next second round, my 2/3 and my 2/5, that's 5 picks. I'm probably 4 of them would be focused on defense.
I mean, and let me ask you this. So Derek Barnett had a great historic play in the Super Bowl, but other than that, has he really lived up to their expectations in 4 seasons? No. But with that being said, I'm sorry, his name is Derek Barnett.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said. Go ahead.
Yeah. And my question is, on that side of the ball, has Derek Barnett lived up to their expectations? No. But are you ready to throw away the towel on the guy? Are you ready to just cash it in and say, well, that's it? I mean, they've got a really sticky situation because they're in such awful cap shape. What do you do with a guy like that?
I think they're going to have to restructure him. No question about it. He's not coming back. I don't think that they can afford to have him come back at that $10 million number, right? They can't do that.
No way you can do with that. And I mean, the guy was the 14th overall pick, right?
They traded up to get him.
Pick. Yeah, I remember. we were there together, weren't we?
I know. I'm just saying, like, they traded up to get him. And unfortunately, that has not worked out for them. And he's had a lot of injury problems, but for my money, he's just not what he's just not the impact player that you're hoping to get in the first top 15 picks. It is the Sports Bash Tuesday with Thompson. Pete Thompson, Flyers play the Sabres tonight. They look tired and gassed over the weekend, but this is a Sabres team that's lost 7 in a row. This is a game they have to have, right?
100%. The Sabres are the health spot, right? The Sabres are where you go to get well, right? And other than their first matchup against the Sabres where they lost to them inexplicably, the last 3 games they've won by identical 3-0 scores. Plus, no Eichel again tonight, so the Flyers don't have to go against Buffalo or one of either their best or one of their best players. This is where they go to get well. Dylan Cousins is going to replace Eichel on that top line, but the Flyers absolutely, you don't want to say must win when you're only in March, but when the season's compressed and you've been doing what you've been doing and you look at the games that are coming up, yeah, this is almost a must win. They're doing a lot of shakeups too. Provorov's going to be with Myers on the D pairing. Everything's shaken up. Travis Sanheim's going to go with Justin Braun. This is based on the morning skate. And then Robert Haig will be with Ghost. That bugs me that Ghost is in the lineup, but I guess it would bug me more if Gustafsson was in the lineup and turning the puck over. So you really have this is the Philadelphia Bears race in the 80s. Do you want Rizzo or Good? Neither. I vote for neither.
I do want to get your take, by the way. We jumped off the Eagles real fast, but I want to get your take on the report yesterday that essentially Jeff Lurie is instructing the front office, hey, we're going to build around this guy Hurts. Does that make us feel – I don't know. Like, I like the message from Lurie, but here's the thing. If Lurie has had his hands in the cookie jar for all these years, shouldn't we just say, maybe the guy has half a clue because the team's been pretty good? It's like we want to fight. We want to fight it because we don't want to think that the owner, for whatever reason, we don't want the owner to have too much say. The guy's been the owner of the football team for about 30 years. At what point do you become someone who maybe has some knowledge of what it's like? I was talking about this yesterday, Pete. You ever see the Making of America episode where it's like Pizza Hut and Domino's Pizza? Like, the two guys had no idea about pizza, but they said, look, nobody has pizza. Let's just make these chain pizza places so that people in middle America can have pizza. They didn't know anything about pizza, but now they know about pizza because they've been around pizza for 30 years. Could that be Jeff Lurie, that he's been around football for so long that he now has half a clue?
I mean, it could be, he's certainly been around long enough to see the business side of things. That's the part that concerns me, not to use Billy Schweim's football guy analogy, but, and he is the owner of the team, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, we can complain about it all we want, but the buck stops with him, literally. It's his team. He can structure it and position it how he wants. I think what he's trying to do, in typical Jeffrey Lurie fashion, I think he's trying to avoid a repeat of what happened when Carson Wentz's ego got bruised. And I think he's looking at it from the standpoint of, look, we didn't really see it up at Jalen Hurts. Let's just go with him and bring in a veteran guy. And of course, I've seen reports about, Alex Smith could be a guy that they bring in. There's all kinds of veteran names out there. That's a guy that would certainly know the division. And if essentially you're paying him to mostly hold the clipboard and to sort of mentor, Jalen Hurts. I know they're different styles of quarterbacks, but don't you think Alex Smith maybe knows the league a little bit and would be a good guy in the room?
Yeah.
I don't think Jalen Hurts would ever be threatened if Alex Smith was in that room with
Here's
him.
the problem. The way that they made it sound was they don't want someone to come in to compete. So what kind of veteran quarterback are you going to come in when you've already told them you don't have a chance to win this job?
Yeah, a guy like Alex Smith would probably come in and do that, or the Josh McCown role, right? You know, the Nick Foles came in because Nick Foles was promised. I see your point. Nick Foles was promised a chance to compete for the job, and ultimately, when Carson went down, Foles stepped in and was unbelievable in one historic game. But yeah, I mean, I get a little pause when I see reports like that. And you know what? I did hear you guys talking too, you know, and a lot of the beat reporters were poo-pooing Chris Mortensen's report. I don't ever doubt anything that Chris Mortensen comes out with, because as far as I'm concerned, if he's coming out with it, he's like Santa Claus. He's checked his sources, checked it twice, seeing if they're naughty or nice, and I tend to believe that stuff. You know, I also think that stuff tends to get fed from the organization, right? So if that's coming out, somebody in the organization wanted that to come out.
All right, Tuesday with Thompson, Pete Thompson here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. Watch the show live at 97.3 ESPN.com. All right, Peter, Tuesday with Thompson is in the books, and he, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. All right, Peter.
By Friday, I'll get this thing figured out. By Friday,
Good.
I promise you, as God is my witness, I'll get it figured out.
Pete Thompson's back, happy hour Friday. I won't be here Friday, but Pete Thompson, please, for the sanity of all the people out there, please do.
Fix your microphone. Yes, got it. Check. Thank you. Roger that. See you, buddy.
All right, he, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. DraftKings, America's #1 sports book. Go to DraftKings and download the Sportsback app now. Use the promo code 973. You guys know it. It's that time of the year. Sportsbook has daily odds on hockey, soccer, so much more if basketball is not for you. But March Madness is coming. So if you want to get involved, go to the #1 sportsbook, the one that I use, DraftKings. Get it to DraftKings Sportsbook, the app. Download the app. Get in on all the action. Download DraftKings Sports Batch now and use my code 973 to get your shot. You got promos all the time. Every night of the week, get the promos. Check them out. They always have something great. And that's why DraftKings has paid out over $7 billion to its customers since 2012. So they know a big thing or two about paying out big paydays. You must be 21 or older to play. New Jersey only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, when we come back, the professor, John Clayton. He's going to talk a little NFL with us. What's he think of the Dak Prescott deal? Sports Bash coming back, 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app.
It's Sixers basketball Thursday night on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Backing, turning, hanging, firing. It's good. Tobias Harris. He can't be stopped in OT.
The Sixers are in Chicago to face the Bulls. Thursday night, coverage begins at 8 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
Termite season is quickly approaching. Is your home protected? Whether you're renovating or getting ready for spring, stop termites, mice, and ants in their tracks. Visit VikingPest.com for a pest-free home. That's VikingPest.com.
Get the credit you deserve during Matt Blatt Kia's Madness in March sales event with 0 down and 0% APR financing for 75 months. Get to Matt Blatt Kia in Toms River and Egg Harbor Township, because at Matt Blatt Kia, we want to get you approved today. And you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Plus, we want your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. So get out of that old car you hate. Come in today or visit us online and get the credit you deserve. Put 0 down and get 0% APR financing available for up to 75 months on every new 2021 Kia Sportage, or take $2,500 off MSRP, because
it's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Offers with approved Tier 1 or 2 credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. 0% based on $1,333 for $1,000 borrowed. All Kia Motors factory rebates to dealer. Go to MattBlattKiaNJ.com for complete details. Expires 4/5/2021. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
So you think you have unlimited data?
Recalculating. Recalculating.
Think again. If you have unlimited data on a network you can't trust, your data is limited, and so are you. Set your smartphone free with the unlimited plans from Total Wireless. Get 4 lines with unlimited data on the nation's best network now with 5G, with 100 gigabytes at high speed, then 2G for just $25 a month per line.
You have arrived at your destination.
Get unlimited and save. Total Wireless. Do amazing. Available at Target. See terms and conditions at totalwireless.com.
2 chocolate chip muffins coming in. Thank you.
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
Hey, can someone get that?
Like at Claire's Cafe, to satisfy demand for takeout, she needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Heard the good news about COVID-19 vaccines? They're here, but you can do more than wait for your turn. Here's how. Stay at least 6 feet away from folks you don't live with. And it's risky to be indoors with them too. And masks? Well, they protect both the person wearing them and the folks around them. Wear a mask, watch your distance, and make a big difference now.
Learn more about vaccines at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
At CDW, we get that a cyborg assistant won't make your employees more productive from home.
Please, call me Brian. I can vacuum your dog.
That's great. But at CDW, we can design a productivity solution with Lenovo devices that offer fast, reliable connectivity to help your people manage their workloads the right way.
Can I have a human hug?
No. For technology that moves you forward, trust Lenovo and IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Learn more at cdw.com/Lenovo client.
Good morning, privates!
Good morning, Drill Sergeant!
I mean, seriously, what a pleasant morning. The sun is shining and the birds are chirping. You seem to be in a good mood today. Astute observation.
He's probably happy because he found out Honey Nut Cheerios can help lower cholesterol as part of a heart-healthy diet.
They're even shaped like hearts. So, in lieu of the obstacle course today, I propose a nice meditative nature walk. Does that sound delightful to everyone?
Yes, Drill Sergeant!
Happy Heart Shapes are back for a limited time. Learn more about Honey Nut Cheerios by picking up a box at your local store.
The COVID-19 vaccines are starting to become available across the country. Now is the time to get informed. Get the latest information at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. A message brought to you by the Ad Council and the CDC.
You can watch the Sports Bash live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Search 97.3 ESPN or visit our website, 973ESPN.com.
All right, let's go to Boardwalk Honda Hotline, talk a little NFL. Dak Prescott gets that massive deal. Obviously, a lot of talk in this area about that in the NFC East. John Clayton, Washington Post, 710 ESPN, Seattle. Excellent NFL conversation right here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, and the free mobile app. And don't forget, you can watch the show live at 97.3ESPN.com. John Clayton joins us now right here on the Sports Bash. John, welcome back, pal. How you been?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Awesome. It's that time of the year. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. The league year is about to start, but Dak Prescott gets that massive, massive deal. Would love to see your take on, here's a guy. I like Dak Prescott. He's making a lot of money. 1 playoff win, 7-13 against winning teams, 37 touchdowns, 36 turnovers. I don't know, man. That's a lot of money, but he seems to have won that war with the Cowboys.
Yeah, because Jerry Jones lost the war. He should have got a deal done last year. And by not getting a deal done, he put himself in a position where he had to now give him the biggest contract in NFL history. I know that it's reported and written that Patrick Mahomes got a 10-year deal at $450 million, which is $45 million a year. But it's really not a $45 million a year because because what you do is you count new money because he had an existing contract, and that deal was $39.8. And so that's why Deshaun Watson took 39, because he may be the 5th best quarterback in the league, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. In this case, because of the leverage that Dak Prescott had and the fact that Jerry didn't want to go the franchise tag at 37.7, he was able to parlay it, Dak was, into the best contract, right now in the league. Now, again, understand the way things are in the National Football League is that, you're not rewarded based on how good you are. You're rewarded if you're good and very good and can get the contract at the right time.
Right.
And so that's why you watched it with Matthew Stafford getting the highest salary over Aaron Rodgers. You watched it with Jimmy Garoppolo getting $27.5, and now you're watching it with Dak Prescott getting $40 million. And then he got what he wanted, a chance to at least get a new contract in the fifth year instead of the fourth year. So and that's worked out well. But again, the leverage went away from Jerry and went to Dak.
No question. John Clayton, Washington Post. John, bringing Dak back healthy, does that what does that do for Dallas in terms of, I would imagine it puts them at the head of the line in the NFC East, but does this message say they think they're back in the NFC conference race?
It's still too early to tell on any of that stuff because, again, we still don't know what the cap is, even though they didn't move the franchise tag back. They kept it as it was today, which tells you they must be getting pretty close to getting some kind of a deal done for the salary cap. But no, I think it puts them atop the division because, I mean, you saw that their defense was terrible last year. They changed defensive coordinators, and so they might be able to fix that up. And then, Dak gets in there with a talented offense that's now the fact that he was able to get the cap number down to 22.2 because what they did is they did a 6-year deal that has 2 years of void outs. And so now because of that, they now have the ability to save $15 million under the cap that they don't have to cut the Lil Collins. They don't have to cut Jalen Smith. And now they may not have room to add much, but they can keep that bulk of the team together. The top 9 players and the top 9 cap numbers on the team, they all get to stay together, and they get to stay together now for a couple of years.
John, yesterday it was reported that Jeffrey Lurie has instructed his group to prioritize making Jalen Hurts successful in 2021 as opposed to creating true competition for the Eagles quarterback position. A little about face there, but a couple of things with this, like Lurie, the owner, getting that involved in stuff. And are you surprised that they are now essentially saying Hurts is our guy?
Yeah, I'm surprised just from the standpoint that that doesn't seem to be Jeff because Jeff really has not been a real meddling owner, taking an over control role. But that's a little unique for Jeff to be able to do that. But you can understand it because, I mean, you see what the casualties are going to be. The fact that they're so far over the cap, they have to redo so many contracts. They're going to lose so many players. They're not going to be able to add much. And so what basically Jeff is doing is saying, listen, this is a rebuilding team. This is not going to be a playoff team. And so because of that, let's stay with the young quarterback. Because at least with the young quarterback, I mean, you now have him for 3 more years, 4 years if you do the 50-year option. And it's like try to build around him as opposed to challenge him. And so whether it's a right or wrong decision, again, whether if they would bring in another quarterback, it's not going to change the equation on the team because, again, they're going to be down so many players and have such a tough cap situation, it's going to be tough to win.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the ripple effect is now at pick number 6. John Clayton's with us from the Washington Post, taking a look at the NFL offseason here. What do we know about the status of now Russell Wilson? I mean, you're out there in Seattle. Obviously, there's been a lot of buzz about him. Is it more, hey, it's that time of the year, or is there legitimate thought that the Seahawks might have to move him?
It's much ado about something, but there's more nothing than it is anything else. They're not moving him. Now, think about this. Put yourself in the mind of Pete Carroll and John Snyder, the coach and general manager. You're a 12-win team that won the division. You're still one of the more talented teams in the NFC, and you're not going to lose too much, and you're going to have enough cap room to be able to add some things, particularly with some of the bargain basement good players that are going to be available. So now what you do is if you trade him, you don't have a quarterback, you take a $39 million cap hit, and a $39 million cap hit, any team since 2013 that had over $20 million over the cap in dead money, but 20% of their cap in dead money never made the playoffs. Otherwise, $44 million right now for the Eagles because of the Carson Wentz deal and others, and it's going to grow. And so you don't make the playoffs, and then you have to then add $7 more million that you have to take out of your cap because he has a current cap number of 32, and the 39 puts another pressure of $7 million. So now you have to start letting players go. So if you trade Russell Wilson, what you do is now you become a rebuilding team that's going to win 6 or 7 games, taking the team back to where they were in 2010, as opposed to having Russell Wilson trying to build up and try to see if they can get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that one's a very interesting story out there, but I kind of agree with what you're saying there. If I'm John Snyder, I'm not pulling the trigger on that deal. Deshaun Watson, we haven't heard much there. We had, thought there was going to be so much quarterback movement. Is there an about face now about that?
A little bit, because again, it's like everything's kind of on hold. I mean, Houston's not taking phone calls on him, and to a certain degree, you can understand it, because let's say you're Nick Caserio, your new general manager. You know your team's not going to be very good, and you have an unhappy quarterback. Okay, so now if you would grant him the ability to get the trade, and you end up coming up with a 4 or 5 win season, how many guys before the trade deadline of any talent on that team is not going to go in there and demand the same thing? I mean, all you're going to have is like a string of Jalen Ramseys going into Nick Caserio's office and saying, "Get me out of here. I don't want to be here." So you create that problem. Now, if you're Deshaun Watson and you definitely don't want to be there, and that's the case, he definitely doesn't want to be there, you make the point, it's like, now, wait a second. I can miss into the season because I got a $15 million base salary, but didn't I get a $27 million signing bonus last year that all of a sudden you can say, I can miss 6, 7, or 8 games to make my point then, and then see if I can get a trade during the season and then still not play for the Texans. So if you're Nick, you may have to just wait this out until training camp and the start of the regular season. But if you're Deshaun Watson, you have $15 million this year, $35 million base next year. I mean, you have the ability to hold out into the season, but I don't see anything changing maybe until August or September.
Last one for John Clayton, Washington Post, 710 ESPN. We talked about Zach Ertz about a month ago when we had a conversation. It's obvious that he's going to get moved and or released. We mentioned Seattle would be interested. Still interest out there. You mentioned they don't have a third, would have to take a fourth. I don't even know that, a fourth might even not, they might even have to give up less than that. But what do you know about Ertz and maybe Seattle?
Well, of course, I mean, it got a little bit tougher for the Eagles because they didn't get any help today with the franchise fee. Hunter Henry did not get franchised. Juno Smith in Tennessee didn't get franchised. And so those guys are available. And so, I mean, are you better off to get one of these younger tight ends and be able to pick the price on that? Because again, I don't think any tight end is going to get more than $10 million. Or do you want to trade a draft choice if you don't have any and then pick up the $8.25 million salary? So that could be very tough. And plus, he's not going to be signed next year. If you get Juno Smith or you get Hunter Henry, you can get them to a multi-year contract and probably get a pretty good cap number. Right. So it's not eliminating teams that are going to be interested in Ertz. But it could put a team like Indianapolis in a position to get him over all the other teams because they definitely want to get a tight end. And I know that they're interested, but I believe that Ertz is going to get moved, and there will be draft choice compensation. But I think it's a little bit lesser chance now for Seattle.
All right, before we roll, speaking of the tight end, Kyle Pitts, his name has been all over the place. He's kind of a tight end. It was described to us that he's an offensive weapon, not a tight end. I don't know that the highest tight end I saw was 8 last year. We saw the guy out in Detroit get picked, Hawkinson. I mean, do we anticipate that Pitts will be higher than that?
Well, Daniel Jeremiah, I know that there's certain teams in the NFC East that he talks to a lot and knows a lot, and he's very good at what he does. He's one of the best in the business. I mean, he's saying right now he thinks Pitts is the third best player on the board. And you have to make an argument. Again, it's like the 2 wide receivers that are real good are right up there. But Pitts, because I know when I was doing my first mock draft, is that I was thinking about putting him in Cincinnati because, again, I think they wanted the offensive weapon after letting Tyler Eifert go a year before and then probably not bringing back A.J. Green. And then I kind of changed it off a little bit. But I can see him going as high as 5. I don't know if Daniel's going to be right at 3 because then that would be Miami. But again, he's going to go very high. So he's a cherished player in this draft.
That'll be interesting. We'll keep our eye on that. 50 days out, the NFL draft. John Clayton, Washington Post, has the NFL covered. And, of course, he, like August, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. John, thank you so much, pal.
Okay, Mike. Thanks.
All right. He, like August, as we mentioned, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. I want to tell you about my friends over at DraftKings. Check out the new DraftKings Sports app for this time of the year. As we told you, go to the App Store, go to DraftKings.com, download the app, use my code 973. If you haven't used DraftKings yet, you've tried out all the other apps, give it a shot. Get in on one of the promos, use the code 973. March Madness is here. If you said, look, I haven't used one of these apps, I haven't tried it, this is the time. March Madness, the NCAA tournament, and DraftKings, match made in heaven. It's the favorite app. I've used them all. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I haven't used other apps. I certainly have. I've used BetMGM. I used FanDuel. DraftKings is my favorite. It's the cleanest one. I have the best ability to kind of navigate myself around. Give them a try. They all have great promos. DraftKings, to me, is the one that I go with. All right, when we come back, we got the sound of the day for the 5. Next, Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
They scored!
The Flyers host the Buffalo Sabres tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. And listen live on the free mobile app.
Today just got a little more exciting because you have the chance to win $155 million with Powerball. Talk about a way to really shake things up. So keep it interesting and take your shot because anything can happen in Jersey.
On some models, excludes Corvette with GMF financing, excludes prior sales. See dealer for details. If you've been waiting for the best deal you can find on a brand new Chevy, then your wait has paid off big time. Right now, during Bennett Chevy's March Markdown event, you can save up to 25% off many of our most popular models. That's right. With Bennett Chevy's famous GM supplier employee pricing, plus you keeping all the rebates, that's up to a whopping 25% off MSRP. Plus, for a limited time, there's 0% financing available on our hottest Chevy models. Got an old beater? Get it to Bennett for an unbeatable $7,000 minimum towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. That's at least $7,000. Imagine what we'll pay for a good trade. And our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So buying at Bennett's always a pleasure with no need to negotiate, plus there's never any sales pressure. Get to Bennett Chevy during our March Markdown event and find new roads. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Switch to T-Mobile for Business and get up to 90 days of service free via virtual rebate on your business plan. You get a great deal, the largest 5G network, and first-class benefits like Microsoft 365 on us. It's better for business and only with T-Mobile for Business. Limited time offer. Stop in store for details. Plus taxes and fees for some plans. Virtual Express MasterCard within 8 weeks of receipt of valid submission. Complete port within 60 days. See T-Mobile.com for 5G devices, coverage, and plan details.
If you own a small business, you know how hard it can be to find new customers. Now, Town Square Media has new tools that can help your business stand out and grow. Go to GetLocalCustomersNow.com for a free competitive analysis that will show you what other businesses are doing to find new customers and how you can do it too with Town Square Media. Be one of the first business owners to sign up and receive $500 in free advertising on this station. Start growing your business today. Visit GetLocalCustomersNow.com. That's GetLocalCustomersNow.com.
DQ presents How to Find Meal Fulfillment. First, order the delicious new rotisserie-style chicken bites from DQ. Then feast your eyes on these unbreaded, tender, juicy, 100% white meat beauties. Next, take a bite of the bite. Realize that unbreaded chicken loaded with flavor is finally possible. And last, call your boss and ask for that promotion. You may have started last week, but hey, if chicken this good is possible, anything is possible. New rotisserie-style chicken bites are now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Good morning, Private.
Good morning, Drill Sergeant.
I mean, seriously, what a pleasant morning. The sun is shining and the birds are chirping. You seem to be in a good mood today. Astute observation.
He's probably happy because he found out Honey Nut Cheerios can help lower cholesterol as part of a heart-healthy diet.
They're even shaped like hearts. So, in lieu of the obstacle course today, I propose a nice meditative nature walk. Does that sound delightful to everyone?
Yes, Drill Sergeant.
Happy Heart Shapes are back for a limited time. Learn more about Honey Nut Cheerios by picking up a box at your local store.
That meeting's starting at 4. Can I get those projections?
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
Karen, do these numbers look right to you?
Like at Mia's research firm. To hit client deadlines, she needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
So you think you have unlimited data?
Recalculating.
Think again. If you have unlimited data on a network you can't trust, your data is limited, and so are you. Set your smartphone free with the unlimited plans from Total Wireless. Get 4 lines with unlimited data on the nation's best network now with 5G, with 100 gigabytes at high speed, then 2G for just $25 a month per line.
You have arrived at your destination.
Get unlimited and save. Total Wireless. Do amazing. Available at Total Wireless stores. See TotalWireless.com for terms and conditions.
You ready for competition? It's time for 5 questions.
3 ain't enough, man. 95.
Number 5 will always love you.
I got 5 on it.
5 times. Now can you dig?
All right, thanks to John Clayton. This is the 5, the sound of the day that Josh picked out from our great guests today, which included Frank Klokse, Michael Kasky-Blomé, Andrew DiCecco, and, of course, Pete Thompson and John Clayton. I wonder if John Clayton, right there at the end of the show, snuck into the segment here. That would be a very quick turnaround to see if John Clayton made the sound of the day here today. He did. How about it? All right. So let's go. Let's see what we got today and bring Josh in for the final segment. Don't forget, game night tonight. He's got Kevin Durso coming up at 6:20 to preview that Flyers and Buffalo game, which you can only hear on 97.3 ESPN. Are you ready? It's like the gong.
Is that what that was?
The listen to the bell, gross bar. It tolls for thee. All right, ready?
Yeah, sure.
Here we go. This is Frank Klokse today on the
think
center
Herrera's
field.
situation will not be related to Hastley's situation, because I think if Adam Hastley is going to be out just a little bit, like it sounds like he's going to be, like it'll only be a minor setback, or if he misses the beginning of the season, it won't be for long, then you don't want to cut somebody from your 40-man roster to make room for Odubel Herrera for him not to have a spot in a week. Like, I still think that Odubel Herrera is going to have to be one of those slam dunk, dominated the entire Grapefruit League kind of situations for him to make the team, because you got to cut somebody in order to make room for Herrera.
So Frank has been kind of bullish on Herrera's chances of making the team. Are you more on, I don't want to say on board, I think we all have the same opinion. I said I would have cut the guy, but now he's here. Now that he's here, I got to give him a fair shot. I would have just got away from this whole situation and cut him. He's here. The Phillies went a different direction. So now I gotta evaluate him fairly.
I think what's interesting to me, Mike, is that the perspective of Frank is so different than what you and Bob Wankel have been talking about. He's sitting here saying that he thinks the situation is that Odubel Herrera is just there to fill a spot, basically. He's almost like a camp arm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like the way he said it was, well, they don't want to use Harper, so they just stick Herrera out in right field.
Yeah, I thought the perspective was very, and I don't know if I agree with Frank, only because I have trouble believing that this guy is getting all this playing time for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I just have trouble thinking that all of a sudden he's playing right field, center field. He's playing almost every single day at this point.
Well, if you notice that he's playing almost every single day, and Harper's not.
Well, and of course you saw Kingery.
Yeah.
By what he did.
0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, I mean that's starting to make the Odubel Herrera case to make this team a little bit more likely.
All right, John Clayton, the professor, was just on. He said this about the market for Zach Ertz.
He got a little bit tougher for the Eagles because they didn't get any help today with the franchise fee. Hunter Henry did not get franchised. Juno Smith in Tennessee didn't get franchised. And so those guys are available. Are you better off to get one of these younger tight ends and be able to pick the price on that? Because, again, I don't think any tight end is going to get more than $10 million. Or do you want to trade a draft choice if you don't have any and then pick up the $8.25 million salary?
So in the end, do they end up trading Zach Ertz or releasing Zach Ertz?
I think they can still trade him because...
For what? What is your hope and expectation?
I mean, if I could get my way, I would just get 2 fifth-round picks for him and call it a day.
That's it. You're saying, I'm willing to take 2 5s.
Sure, I'll take 2 5s. Because at this point, the combination of the money his money on his salary, plus his lack of productivity last year, he doesn't have a great market. And he has a market, though, because as John mentioned, Hunter Henry is going to be a free agent. If you're a team that can't get Hunter Henry, if you're a team that can't get any of these guys in free agency, you got to turn around and look like, we we might have to go get Zach Ertz instead. I think we have to wait, though, to get him just because you got to wait for the free agent market to play out.
Yeah, the Ertz thing to me, I think the ceiling is a desperate team. Let's say, for instance, and I don't think Detroit's a great because they just drafted Hawkinson last year. But let's say a team that's like in that area that's not very good, not a desirable location, and they really want a tight end, right?
Can I address this comment on the YouTube feed here?
I saw you face palmed.
I mean, this comment on the Facebook
This one?
is just yes. Okay, this guy is trying to tell us that tight ends have no value. All right, let me tell you something.
Well, Ertz is also 30 years old.
No,
and in the last year of his contract, so his value is not going to be.
Ertz's value has no value.
Yeah,
Hunter Henry is going to get a contract. All right, Travis Kelce is the best receiver on the Chiefs. There's a reason why the Bucs brought Gronk back, because he's that value. If tight ends have no value, then why are all these tight ends successful in the NFL? No, it's Zach Ertz doesn't have great value. Ertz's value is no correlation to the rest of the NFL, which also has no correlation to Kyle Pitts.
His trade value isn't indicative of what the position, how it's viewed in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, you're not looking at Zach Ertz and saying, tight ends are a dime a dozen. We'll just, that's not, it's the fact that he's 30 years old making $8.25 million. That's the problem. He makes too much money because he's valued at that level. But
for his production.
Yeah, by the way, the number 2 receiver in the NFL was Travis Kelce, 1,400 yards. The number 10 receiver in the NFL was Darren Waller, 1,200 yards.
Also, Darren Waller was top 10 in the NFL in targets last year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the tight end is now becoming just another part of the offense for the most part. And yes, by the way, when you have those special ones, it changes your offense. So
Mark Andrew, Austin Hooper, a couple other guys as well.
Yeah, and a lot of things with some of those teams, they have 2 tight ends on the team, which kind of I won't say devalues, but suppresses their production.
Right. That's part of the reason why teams want to have multiple tight ends, because they don't want teams
by
to
the
be
way,
able to guard
followed up.
them.
He said trade value. Sorry.
Yeah, but Ertz's trade value is not the same as another tight end. I guarantee you
I mean, it's because of where he is in his career. He's 30 years old.
Right.
If he was 27 years old, he'd probably get you a second.
Mark Andrews is going to get a nice return if the Ravens ever wanted to trade him.
All right. Let's go to...
Thank you for my soapbox moment there.
Let's go to Andrew DiCecco today for Football at 4, who said this.
It makes the most sense because there's so many holes in the roster that to keep playing this quarterback carousel, throwing darts at the board, for another year of wasting a premium draft pick on that, I think you just have to start. You have to ride with the guy who invested a second-round pick in last year and start building pieces around him to see if that, and not just him, the roster itself, the defense needs a lot of work too. But I mean, you'll find out soon enough if Jalen Hurts is the guy or not.
So he says it does make sense to make Hurts the guy. I agree.
I agree 100%. And part of the reason why I agree is because Andrew's taking it from a very objective, like, why would Jeffrey Lurie say this? I think that's kind of what has to be done in this situation. Jeffrey Lurie is telling us something. We got to take what he's telling us. We can't just dismiss it or ignore it. If the organization believes or thinks something, we have to take them at face value, right, Mike?
The whole Lurie getting involved thing, I'm kind of torn and mixed about.
Why is that?
I mean, I don't mind if he gets involved, if he's right. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he's the guy that's pushing the pile to the right direction, then people get this whole, he's a meddling owner. I don't care if he's meddling if he's right. If he's just flat out wonky wrong, that's when I have a problem. Why do I care if the owner steps in if what his messaging is correct?
It's funny you say that because John Clayton had something to say about that as well. That's on the
I have that queued up right here.
I like that.
I'm surprised just from the standpoint that that doesn't seem to be Jeff, because Jeff really has not been a real meddling owner, taking an over control role. But that's a little unique for Jeff to be able to do that. But you can understand it because, I mean, you see what the casualties are going to be. The fact that they're so far over the cap They have to redo so many contracts. They're going to lose so many players. They're not going to be able to add much. And so what basically Jeff is doing is saying, listen, this is a rebuilding team. This is not going to be a playoff team. And so because of that, let's stay with the young quarterback.
So that's interesting. So because it's a rebuilding team, so if you were rebuilding, that's where like that to me is a little wonky. If you were rebuilding, do you want to get your young quarterback in the building? Or he's basically saying, well, we're rebuilding anyway, so just go with Jalen Hurts, who's a young quarterback. Like there's a little mixed messaging there.
To me, it comes off as, look, we spent a second-round pick on this guy. We heard Howie Roseman say last year after the draft that they couldn't pass on Jalen Hurts. They felt they had to pick him, all right? So if that was the organization's position, that we can't let this guy walk, that we got to take this guy, then you got to at least see if the second-round pick is something or not.
I think yet the messaging for me is that Laurie, and this is where the people have the problem because he's not a football guy, Laurie says this kid can play. And I don't even know it about skill. I think it's about moxie more than anything. I think Laurie was blown away by a guy who was an A-plus leader.
Hey, listen, leadership's an important thing in football. People underrate that sometimes.
I'm not underrating it. I'm telling you,
not you, I mean, other
think
people.
The owner is saying that trumps everything, whether he has arm strength, whether he has accuracy, all of that stuff. And he has some of those things. He's not
right.
He's not the most accurate guy in the world. He doesn't have the biggest arm in the league. But I think he's saying his leadership trumps all of that. And that's why I want him to lead my franchise.
And listen, if that's what he's falling back on, there's a lot worse traits to fall back on, because you know what? There's some pretty boneheaded football players who could throw the football who can't lead a lick.
Hey, don't forget to sign up now for the $1 million bracket at 973ESPN.com. The bracket with the most correct will win a $500 golden getaway in Atlantic City, thanks to our friends at GoldenNuggetSports.com. And the top 20 brackets will receive a free bet at GoldenNuggetSports.com. You must be 21 or older to place the bet, and available in Jersey only. Free bets are for online sportsbook. Please see website for terms and conditions. All right, that'll do it for me. Game night is up next. Game night leading you into Flyers and Sabres tonight. Kevin Durso will join the show and the stream live video at 6:20. Have a great night, everybody.
Sign up now for this year's $1 million